The letter arrived folded into thirds with no return address, no postage, and my name typed in a font that looked older than the paper itself. It wasn't in my mailbox. It was sitting on my kitchen table. I lived alone. The front door was still locked. Every window was latched. Nothing else had been touched. My laptop was exactly where I'd left it. My wallet sat beside my keys, and the cheap clock over the stove continued ticking with the same uneven rhythm it always had. Whoever entered my apartment had come for one reason: to leave the letter. Inside was a single sentence: "If you want to know what happened to your brother, come to Ash Hollow Road at 11:47 p.m. Thursday. Come alone." No signature, no explanation, no map. My brother Daniel had disappeared 9 years earlier. Police called it a missing person case. Volunteers searched woods, abandoned buildings, drainage tunnels, and neighboring counties for weeks. Helicopters flew overhead until the funding stopped. Television crews interviewed my parents. Strangers claimed they'd seen him in 3 different states. None of it led anywhere. Eventually, the world moved on. People stopped asking. His bedroom stayed exactly as he'd left it until my mother died. My father never said Daniel's name again. I spent years convincing myself I'd accepted that. Then someone put that letter on my kitchen table. I almost threw it away. I even crumpled it once before smoothing it back out. Whoever wrote it either knew something impossible or wanted me desperate enough to believe they did. Neither possibility felt safe. Thursday came anyway. I told myself I was only driving there to prove it was a joke. Ash Hollow Road wasn't really a road anymore. It had existed decades earlier, before the state rerouted the highway and abandoned the surrounding properties. GPS refused to recognize the address, so I followed directions copied from an old county survey online. The farther I drove, the fewer headlights I saw. Eventually, the pavement narrowed into cracked asphalt swallowed by weeds. Dead branches scraped against my truck as though something walked beside me through the trees. The dashboard clock read 11:42, 5 minutes early. I almost turned around. Instead, I parked beside what looked like the remains of an old bus stop. Rusted metal poles leaned toward the woods, and shattered glass glittered beneath my headlights. No houses, no traffic, no lights, just forest. The silence felt wrong, not quiet, empty, as if every insect, every bird, every living thing had agreed to leave before I arrived. At exactly 11:47, something happened. Not in the woods, not behind me, directly ahead, a plain white door appeared between 2 oak trees. There hadn't been anything there a second earlier. No frame, no walls, just an ordinary wooden door standing upright in the darkness. Not because it was funny, because my brain refused to process what I was seeing. I blinked twice. The door remained. Its paint looked freshly applied. A brass handle reflected my headlights. Everything around it looked abandoned except the door itself. Then it opened. Not all the way, just enough for someone inside to speak. "You took longer than your brother." The voice belonged to an elderly man, calm, patient, like he'd been expecting me for years. I couldn't see his face, only darkness beyond the opening. My mouth went dry. "What did you say?" The same thing I told Daniel. Silence. He didn't listen either. Every instinct screamed for me to get back into the truck. Instead, I took one step toward the door, then another. "Who are you?" The old man answered without hesitation. "I'm the last person who saw your brother alive." And then, he pulled the door completely open. Beyond it wasn't another room. It wasn't the forest. It wasn't darkness. It was an entire city, one that should not have been able to exist. Daniel's name sat in my palm. The letters looked freshly typed, the ink still glossy beneath the park lights. My thumb brushed across the paper, leaving a faint black smear against my skin. I looked up. Thousands of white slips continued drifting into the night, rising instead of falling. They moved without wind, climbing toward a sky that seemed darker than it had any right to be. No one else noticed them. A man walked past carrying groceries. A teenager rode a bicycle between the benches. An elderly couple argued quietly over a map. None of them looked up. I stepped into the path of a woman walking her dog. "Excuse me," she smiled politely. "Can you tell me where those papers are coming from?" She frowned. "What papers?" I pointed overhead. "The ones floating." Her eyes followed my finger. I don't see anything. She tugged gently on the leash and continued walking. The dog, however, stopped. It stared directly at the papers. Its ears flattened. A low growl rumbled from its throat before it pulled violently against the leash, desperate to leave the park. The woman apologized over her shoulder. "Sorry, he's been acting strange all evening." I watched them disappear. The old man hadn't slowed his pace. He crossed the park with the confidence of someone walking through his own neighborhood. I hurried after him. "Who are you?" "I've had many names." I asked for yours. "The one I was born with no longer belongs to me." He said it so casually that I almost missed what he'd actually said. "What does that mean?" "You'll understand if you stay long enough." "I'm not staying." He smiled without looking at me. "They all say that." We reached the edge of the park. Across the street stood a diner glowing with warm yellow light. Through the windows I could see families eating late dinners, a waitress filling coffee cups, and an old jukebox quietly spinning in the corner. Everything looked perfectly ordinary. Then I noticed the clock above the counter, 11:47. Another clock hung near the kitchen door, 11:47. A man checking his wristwatch frowned. His watch also read 11:47. I pulled out my phone. No signal. The time read 11:47 p.m. It hadn't changed since I'd walked through the door in the forest. But chill settled into my chest. "How long have we been here?" The old man finally stopped walking. He looked at me with tired eyes. Then he asked a question that made my stomach tighten. The old man's question settled over us like a weight. "What makes you think you arrived tonight?" I laughed once. It came out forced. "I drove here 20 minutes ago." "Did you?" "I remember it." "So does everyone." He started walking again before I could answer. The diner door chimed as we stepped inside. Heat wrapped around me instantly, carrying the smell of fresh coffee, bacon grease, and warm bread. It should have felt comforting. Instead, every conversation stopped. Not gradually, instantly. Forks rested in midair. Cups hovered inches from lips. 30 pairs of eyes fixed on me with quiet curiosity, as though I had interrupted something rehearsed. No one looked surprised, just interested. The silence lasted only a heartbeat. Then the room resumed exactly where it had left off. Laughter returned. Silverware clinked. The waitress smiled as if nothing unusual had happened. "Table for two?" she asked. The old man nodded. She didn't hand us menus. She simply led us to a booth near the back window. "You'll have the usual," she said to him. Then she looked at me. "And you'll change your mind." "I haven't ordered." "You will." She walked away. I watched her disappear into the kitchen. What did she mean? The old man folded his hands on the table. "Don't worry about it." "I'm done not worrying." He studied my face for several seconds. "You've noticed the clocks. They're all stuck." "They're not stuck. They all say 11:47. Because that's when people arrive." "What time do they leave?" His expression changed. Not fear. Regret. "They stop asking that eventually." Before I could press him further, the waitress returned carrying 2 white mugs. She placed one in front of me. Steam curled lazily toward the ceiling. "I didn't order coffee." "I know." She smiled. "You never do." Every muscle in my body tensed. "What did you say?" She tilted her head. "For someone who insists this is your first visit, you ask familiar questions." The old man closed his eyes, almost like he'd hoped this moment wouldn't come. I pushed the mug away. "You've got the wrong person." "No." The waitress's smile faded. "I don't." She reached into the pocket of her apron and removed a folded receipt. Without a word, she laid it on the table between us. It was yellowed with age. The edges were soft from being handled. Across the top was the diner's name. Below it were 2 meals, 2 coffees, and a handwritten note. The handwriting hit me like a punch. I knew every curve of every letter. I'd spent years reading birthday cards, old notes, and the margins of school notebooks, covered with the same uneven script. It belonged to Daniel. At the bottom, beneath the total, he'd written only 6 words. "Don't let me leave with him." I stared at the receipt until the words stopped looking like language. Don't let me leave with him. Daniel always crossed his 7s. He pressed too hard with a pen, leaving tiny dents in the paper beneath each sentence. When we were kids, I used to tease him that even his grocery lists looked angry. The receipt carried the same marks, the same slant, the same habit of writing the letter G with an open loop. It wasn't similar, it was his. "Where did you get this?" I asked. The waitress didn't answer immediately. She looked at the old man instead. He gave the slightest nod. "It was left behind," she said quietly. "When?" "A long time ago." "How long?" She hesitated. "That depends on where you're standing." I shoved the receipt across the table. "This isn't funny." No one here is laughing. I looked around the diner. People ate in silence now. Not one conversation remained. Every customer seemed absorbed in their own meal, yet I had the unsettling feeling they were listening to every word we spoke. The old man finally reached for the receipt. "You should keep it." "I don't want it." "You will. I'm telling you, you'll want proof later." The certainty in his voice irritated me more than anything else. "Proof of what?" He didn't answer. Instead, he looked toward the front window. Outside, people on the sidewalk had stopped walking. Every one of them faced the street, waiting. A city bus rolled past the diner. It was old enough to belong in a museum, its faded paint chipped around the edges. There was no route number on the front. Only one word: arrivals. The bus slowed but never stopped. As it passed, I caught glimpses of the passengers. Every seat was occupied. Some stared out the windows. Some slept. Some cried silently. One little boy pressed both hands against the glass. For a split second, our eyes met. He raised a finger and pointed directly at me. Then the bus disappeared around the corner. "What was that?" I whispered. The old man's shoulders sagged. "You weren't supposed to see it." Before I could ask another question, the lights inside the diner flickered once. Then again, the waitress froze. Every customer froze. Even the steam rising from the coffee stopped curling. The entire room became perfectly still. Only the old man continued moving. His eyes widened for the first time. "Stand up." "What, now?" Something heavy struck the diner's roof. Once, twice, then a slow scraping sound traveled from one end of the building to the other. Not footsteps, not claws, something much larger. The old man's voice dropped to a whisper. "It found you sooner than I expected." The front door of the diner swung open by itself. Cold air poured inside. No one entered, but every frozen customer turned their eyes toward the doorway, as though someone invisible had just stepped across the threshold. No one breathed. The invisible presence lingered just beyond the doorway, announced only by the wind that rolled across the tile floor. Sugar packets slid from nearby tables. A napkin lifted, twisted once, and disappeared into the darkness outside. The old man stood. "Don't look directly at it." I almost laughed. "At what?" His answer came without hesitation. "It isn't fully here yet." The air pressure changed. My ears popped as if I'd climbed a mountain in seconds. The lights dimmed again, and the temperature dropped hard enough for my breath to become visible. Something crossed the entrance. I never saw a body, only its effect. The welcome mat sank under invisible weight. Tiny cracks spread through the ceramic tile, one after another, tracing a path toward the center of the diner. The frozen customers remained perfectly still. Not one blinked, not one flinched. The cracks stopped beside our booth. The old man's face had gone pale. "It remembers you." "What remembers me?" He didn't answer. Instead, he reached across the table and grabbed my wrist with surprising strength. "When I tell you to run, don't stop. Don't ask questions. Don't turn around." The coffee in my untouched mug rippled. Then it began climbing the inside of the cup. Not spilling, climbing, like a dark hand pulling itself upward. A shape formed in the liquid. At first it looked random, then it became unmistakable. Letters, 3 of them. R-U-N. The cup shattered. Coffee exploded across the table. At that exact instant, every frozen person in the diner inhaled together. One long, synchronized breath. Their heads turned toward me in perfect unison. 30 voices spoke as one. "You came back." The sound didn't belong to human throats. It was too deep, too layered, as if hundreds of whispers occupied the same sentence. The old man shoved me out of the booth. "Run!" The spell broke instantly. Customers screamed. Plates crashed to the floor. The waitress dropped an entire tray of dishes as people scrambled toward the exits. But something was wrong. No one made it to the door. Each person reached the entrance and appeared right back where they had started, as if the room folded in on itself. A businessman slammed into the front wall, convinced it was the exit. An elderly woman clawed at a window that had become solid brick. The diner was changing. The old man pulled me toward the kitchen. This way. Behind us, the invisible footsteps resumed. Slow, measured, closing the distance. Then, for the first time, I heard its voice. Not with my ears. Inside my head. Soft, patient, almost kind. I stumbled. The voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It carried the certainty of a memory I couldn't place, slipping into my thoughts, as though it had always been there. Daniel waited longer than you. I grabbed the edge of a stainless steel prep table to keep from falling. The kitchen should have been chaos. Cooks shouting, pans clattering, orders piling up. Instead, every employee stood motionless. A chef held a knife over a cutting board without moving. A dishwasher stared into a sink overflowing with water that never spilled. Steam hung above a stock pot like a photograph. Only the old man and I were still able to move. What did it mean? I whispered. He didn't slow down. It talks before it hunts. Hunts? You'll understand if you survive. He shoved through a swinging door at the back of the kitchen. Instead of an alley, there was a narrow brick corridor lit by a row of yellow bulbs. It stretched far longer than the diner should have allowed. I looked back. The kitchen door was already disappearing, not closing, receding, as if someone were pulling the entire diner farther away. We have to go. The old man grabbed my sleeve again. The sound of footsteps echoed behind us, still invisible, still slow, but closer. Each step produced a faint vibration beneath my feet. Dust drifted from the ceiling. A light bulb burst overhead. The old man didn't even glance back. Never let it make you curious. What? It wants you to look. I can't look at something I can't see. His expression hardened. You can. The corridor ended at a heavy steel door with peeling green paint. He threw it open. A subway platform stretched into darkness. No advertisements, no station name, only cracked tiles and a single wooden bench beneath flickering lights. Across the track stood another platform, identical to ours, except for one detail. There were people waiting, dozens of them. Men, women, children, every one of them stood perfectly still, facing our side, watching. None of them blinked. A distant rumble rolled through the tunnel. The old man checked an enormous station clock. 11:47. Of course, the second hand didn't move. It isn't time yet, he muttered. What isn't? The train. If time stopped, how can anything arrive? His face tightened, because it doesn't follow the clocks. The rumble grew louder. Wind poured through the tunnel, carrying the smell of wet earth and something older, like pages from books left to rot in a flooded basement. The people across the tracks all smiled, at the exact same moment. Not naturally, their mouths simply stretched into identical expressions. One little girl raised her hand. She pointed past me, not at me, behind me. The old man closed his eyes. No. I felt warm breath against the back of my neck. Not hot, not cold, just present. A whisper brushed my ear. So soft it barely existed. You still haven't remembered why Daniel came here. I spun around. Nothing. The platform behind us was empty. Only cracked tile, rusted support columns, and the tunnel swallowing the light a few yards beyond the edge. My pulse hammered against my ribs. I heard it. I know, the old man said. It was right behind me. I know. Then where is it? He didn't answer. His eyes stayed fixed on the tunnel. The rumbling had stopped. The silence that replaced it felt heavier, like the station itself was holding its breath. Across the tracks, the waiting crowd hadn't moved. Not a single person shifted their weight. Not one blinked. Their smiles remained exactly the same. Then, without warning, every head turned in perfect unison toward the darkness at the far end of their platform. Something was approaching. I couldn't see it. Neither could they, but they all knew where it was. The old man grabbed my shoulder. Whatever happens next, don't answer if it calls your name. What if it's Daniel? His grip tightened. Especially if it's Daniel. A sharp metallic screech echoed through the station. Two pale lights appeared deep inside the tunnel. A train emerged slowly from the darkness. It looked ancient. Its paint had faded decades ago. Most of the windows were cracked. Several doors hung slightly open as it rolled toward the platform with a grinding sound that echoed through the station. There was no driver, no destination sign, only a single word painted across the front in white letters: return. The train stopped. Every door slid open at once. No one stepped off, no one stepped on. The passengers inside sat perfectly still. Each stared straight ahead. Some looked frightened, some looked exhausted. One elderly man quietly cried into his hands. Near the center car, a teenage girl slowly lifted her head. Her eyes met mine through the dirty glass. She mouthed something. 3 words. I couldn't hear her, but I didn't need to. Don't get on. The old man exhaled. Good. Good? It came empty. What does that mean? Before he could answer, a loud knock echoed from inside one of the train cars. 3 slow knocks. Another answered from a different car. Then another. Soon every carriage echoed with the same rhythm. Knock, knock, knock. Passengers never moved. The sound wasn't coming from them. It was coming from beneath the seats. Something was crawling through the train, moving from car to car, searching. The old man's face drained of color. We're too late. The knocking stopped. One train door began to close by itself. Then another. Then another. Only the door directly in front of me remained open. Inside the empty doorway, a familiar voice broke the silence. Soft, tired, almost pleading. Matt. It was Daniel, exactly as I remembered him. My God, I whispered. The old man stepped between me and the train. That isn't your brother. The voice came again, stronger this time. Matt, please. I've been waiting for you. I knew that voice. Not just the sound of it, the rhythm. Daniel always paused before saying my name, like he wanted to make sure he had my attention first. He'd done it our whole lives. This voice did the same thing. Matt. A pause. Please. My chest tightened. The old man spread his arms, blocking the open train door. You promised, he said, without taking his eyes off me. I never promised anything. Not tonight. His voice shook. The first time. I stared at him. The first time, he realized what he'd said. For the first time since we'd met, he looked afraid of me. Not the thing hunting us. You don't remember, he whispered. Before I could ask what he meant, Daniel's voice came again. Closer. Mom's waiting. Everything inside me froze. No one knew those words. The night Daniel disappeared, our mother had called him from the porch. Mom's waiting. I'd repeated the same sentence when I chased after him. It had been years since I'd thought about that memory. I hadn't told anyone. Ever. The old man turned slowly toward the train. I was hoping it wouldn't use that. Use what? Your guilt. The lights above the platform flickered. One burst with a sharp pop, then another. Darkness crept across the station, one fixture at a time. The only steady light now came from inside the train. Warm, golden, inviting. I could see the empty seats, the worn blue fabric, the polished brass rails. It looked safe, like somewhere I'd been before. Daniel stepped into the doorway. He hadn't aged. He still wore the gray hoodie he'd left home in 9 years earlier. His hair fell across his forehead exactly the way I remembered. He smiled, small, uneasy. You're late. My throat closed. Daniel, his eyes filled with tears. I knew you'd come back. I took one step forward. The old man caught my arm. His grip was desperate now. Look at his feet. I frowned. Daniel stood perfectly still. Then I looked down. He wasn't touching the floor. His shoes hovered an inch above it, not floating, hanging, as though something beneath the train was holding him upright. His smile didn't change, neither did his voice. Don't listen to him. Something shifted behind Daniel. A shadow moved through the empty carriage, too large to belong to a person. It flowed between the seats without making a sound. Daniel never looked back. He couldn't. His eyes remained locked on mine. Then, very quietly, without moving his lips, I heard his voice inside my head. Matt, run. His smile stayed exactly the same, but tears began rolling down his face. Daniel's tears fell silently. That was the first thing that convinced me. Not the voice, not the impossible train, not the thing moving behind him. The tears. Because Daniel was never good at hiding when he was scared. When we were kids, he would pretend he wasn't afraid of thunderstorms, but every time lightning flashed, he would end up sitting on the floor outside my bedroom door. He hated admitting he needed help. Seeing him cry without being able to change his expression told me something was terribly wrong. Daniel. His mouth moved. The voice that came out was wrong. Come home. But inside my head, I heard the real one. Don't. The old man pulled me backward. He's fighting it. Fighting what? The old man stared at the train. What lives between places? The train lights flickered. For a brief moment, Daniel disappeared. Not faded, not vanished, like someone had turned off an image. The doorway was empty. Then he appeared again, except now he was closer, standing at the edge of the platform. No footsteps, no movement, just suddenly there. I stumbled back. The old man grabbed a metal railing. Impossible. You said it couldn't come across. It wasn't supposed to. Daniel looked at the old man. Something changed. The sadness disappeared. His expression became blank. You should have stayed away. The voice was Daniel's, but the words weren't. The old man went pale. You're not him. Daniel tilted his head, a strange smile formed. You said the same thing 9 years ago. My stomach dropped. The old man looked at me. You need to leave. What happened 9 years ago? No answer. The train doors began closing. Slowly. The old man looked toward the tunnel, then back at me. We don't have much time. Tell me what happened. Your brother wasn't taken. Daniel's head turned slightly. The old man continued. He came here because of you. The world seemed to stop. What? Daniel smiled, the same smile he'd had when he was a child, and knew something I didn't. He remembers now. My skin went cold. I don't remember anything. The old man looked at me with pity. That's why you were allowed to come back. Allowed. That word bothered me. What are you talking about? The train doors closed another few inches. The shadow behind Daniel moved closer. The old man grabbed my shoulders. Listen carefully. Whatever you think happened that night is incomplete. The station lights flashed. For a second I saw something impossible. The platform wasn't empty. There were hundreds of people standing around us, watching, waiting. Then the lights returned. Gone. What did I forget? The old man looked toward Daniel, then whispered, You opened the door. The train doors slammed shut. The sound echoed through the station. Daniel vanished behind the glass. The train began moving, slowly at first, then faster. I watched my brother disappear into the darkness. He just stared into the tunnel. Now it knows you're awake. I turned toward him. What does that mean? He looked down at my hand, the same hand that had held Daniel's receipt. The ink on my fingers was changing. The words written there were no longer Daniel's. New letters appeared beneath his name. Fresh, wet, impossible. Matthew Mercer arrived 9 years ago. I stared at the words until my vision blurred. The ink crawled across my skin like it was still being written. Matthew Mercer arrived 9 years ago. My first thought was that I was hallucinating. My second thought was that I wanted to believe that, because the alternative was worse. That's not possible. The old man didn't answer. He was looking at me the same way someone looks at a person who has finally remembered a terrible secret. Say something. I can't. Why? Because you already know. Anger replaced the fear. Stop doing that. Stop talking like you know everything. The old man looked away. You came here once before. No. You were younger. No. You were looking for Daniel. I shook my head. I was home. The station lights flickered. For a moment the platform disappeared. I saw a different place. A basement, concrete walls, a single hanging bulb. My hands were smaller. My knees were scraped. Someone was crying. Then the image vanished. I grabbed my head. A sharp pain spread behind my eyes. The old man noticed. What did you see? Nothing. Don't lie. I saw. The memory disappeared before I could finish. I couldn't describe it. I couldn't even hold on to it. It was like trying to remember a dream after waking. I saw a basement. The old man closed his eyes. Of course he did. What does that mean? It means the city is giving you back pieces. I don't want them. Nobody does. A sound echoed through the station. Not a train, not footsteps. A door closing, far away. Then another. Then another. The old man looked toward the tunnel entrance. We have to move. Where? Somewhere it can't hear us. My stomach tightened. It can hear us? It can hear memories. That sentence made no sense. Then I realized something. Every time the thing appeared, It used something personal. Daniel's voice, my mother's words, my guilt. It wasn't reading my mind. It was reading what hurt. What is it? The old man started walking along the platform. I don't know. You brought me here and you don't know? No one knows. Then why are you here? He stopped. For several seconds he said nothing. Then, because I was the one who opened the first door. The station seemed colder. You? Not intentionally. When? He looked back at me, 43 years ago. I laughed quietly. That doesn't make sense. Neither does this place. We reached the end of the platform. A narrow staircase descended into darkness. There was no sign, no exit, no indication where it led. The old man started down. I followed, because staying behind felt worse. Halfway down, I noticed something carved into the wall. At first I thought it was graffiti. Then my flashlight caught the letters. Hundreds of names, thousands, carved into the concrete. Some were old and faded. Some looked freshly scratched. Near the bottom was a name I recognized, Daniel Mercer. Below it, my own, but beneath my name was a date, not 9 years ago. A date from tomorrow. The sound of my own voice coming from the other side of the door made every thought disappear. For a few seconds, I couldn't move. I couldn't even breathe. The hallway seemed to shrink around us. The old man stared at the door, not surprised, not confused, like he had been waiting for this exact moment. That's impossible, I whispered. No, he looked at me. It's expected. My voice is behind that door. Yes. How? He didn't answer. The knocking came again. 3 slow knocks, then silence, then my voice. Please. A pause. Don't make the same mistake. My skin went cold, because that wasn't a threat. It sounded like me, scared, exhausted, begging. I stepped closer. The old man grabbed my shoulder. Don't. What if that's me? It is. That answer stopped me. What? It is you. The old man's eyes stayed on the door, but not the you standing here. My mind struggled to understand. There are 2 of me? Not exactly. The hallway lights flickered. Every photograph on the walls changed. I turned toward them. The family pictures were gone. Now they showed me, standing in this same hallway, over and over, different versions, different ages. One picture showed me as a child, another showed me as a teenager, another showed me older than I was now. In every photograph, I stood beside the same door, and in every photograph, Daniel was on the other side. What is this place? The old man finally looked tired. The place between decisions. That means nothing. It will. The door creaked open an inch. A cold draft escaped through the gap. Not air, a smell, damp earth, old wood, and something familiar. My childhood home. I almost stepped forward. Then I heard something else. A television playing, a clock ticking, a dog barking, sounds from my past. The old man saw my expression. Don't listen. I know that sound. I know. My house. No, he shook his head. Your memory of your house. The door opened another inch. A child's voice laughed from inside. My voice, younger. Hurry up, Daniel. I froze. That memory was real. A summer afternoon. Me and Daniel racing through our backyard. Except I hadn't thought about it in years. Why was it here? The old man whispered. It feeds on what people miss. The door opened wider. Through the gap I saw a hallway. My hallway. The exact one from my childhood home. The wallpaper, the carpet, the framed pictures. Everything perfect. Too perfect. At the far end stood a figure. A boy. Facing away from us. Wearing a gray hoodie. Daniel. My heart broke. Daniel. The figure slowly turned. But before I could see his face, the old man grabbed me and pulled me back. Do not let him recognize you. I stared at him. What? If he remembers who you are. The old man looked at the open doorway. Then it remembers too. The figure in the hallway lifted his head, and from inside the house came a whisper. Not Daniel's voice, not mine. The brothers are together again. The words echoed through the hallway. The brothers are together again. The voice wasn't coming from Daniel. It wasn't coming from anywhere. It was coming from the walls, the floor, the air itself, like the entire house had spoken. The figure at the end of the hallway turned slowly. I couldn't see his face, not because it was hidden, because the closer I looked, the harder it became to focus on it. My mind refused to hold on to the details, but I knew him. Every part of me knew him. Daniel. The old man's hand tightened around my arm. No, he needs me. No, he waited 9 years. The old man looked at me. That's exactly why you cannot go to him. The figure took one step forward. The hallway lights above him flickered. For a second I saw Daniel clearly. Older, tired, broken. Then the image changed. A stranger, then a child, then me. The door slammed shut. The impact shook dust from the ceiling. I jumped back. The old man immediately turned away from the door. We need to leave. Where? Anywhere else. That thing is everywhere. Yes. His answer was quiet. That's why we keep moving. We hurried back through the hallway. The photographs had changed again. Now they showed places. A hospital room, an empty highway, a school classroom, a forest clearing. Every location looked familiar. Every location felt connected. These are all places I've been. Not all. I stopped. What? The old man continued walking. You've been to more places than you remember. The pain behind my eyes returned. Another memory flashed. A road at night. Rain on a windshield. Daniel sitting beside me. He was older. Not 14. Closer to my age now. I heard him say something, but the memory disappeared before I could understand it. I grabbed the wall. The old man noticed. What did you see? I don't know. Try. I closed my eyes. A word came back. Sorry. The old man looked away. Of course. What does that mean? You apologized. To who? He didn't answer. The hallway ended at another door. This one was made of metal. No handle, no hinges. Only a small glass window. I looked through it. On the other side was my apartment. My real apartment. The one where the letter appeared. Everything was exactly as I had left it. The kitchen, the table, the clock, the crumpled letter. Except someone was sitting there. Me. Another version of me. He sat at the table holding the original letter, waiting, watching the front door. The old man whispered, "That's where it started." I looked at him. What started? He didn't respond because the other me in the apartment suddenly looked up, straight through the glass, straight at me. He stood, walked toward the door, and placed his hand against the other side. Then he mouthed 3 words. Words I couldn't hear, but I understood, because they were my own words. The version of me behind the glass kept his hand pressed against the door. I couldn't look away. It was like staring into a mirror that showed a life I had somehow forgotten. Same face, same clothes, same small scar above my eyebrow from when Daniel and I crashed our bikes into the neighbor's fence when we were kids. But there was something different. The other me looked older, not in years, in exhaustion, like he had been carrying something heavy for a very long time. "What is he doing?" I whispered. The old man didn't answer. "Who is he?" The old man finally looked at me. "You." I shook my head. "No." "You know him." "I don't." "You do." The other me lifted the letter from the table. The same letter that had appeared in my apartment. The same letter that brought me here. He unfolded it. Then he looked directly at us and smiled, not happily, like someone who had finally confirmed a fear. The metal door between us began making a strange sound, a low vibration. The old man stepped away. "We have to go." "Wait, no." "Who is he?" The old man stared at the door. "He is the reason you forgot." A crack appeared across the glass. My reflection on the other side moved closer. The crack spread. "I don't understand." "You will." The other me opened his mouth. At first no sound came through. Then the door carried his voice, my voice. "You shouldn't have brought him back." The old man froze. "Back?" I looked at him. "What does that mean?" The other me placed both hands against the glass. "You left me here." The words hit harder than I expected, because they sounded like an accusation, not from a stranger, from someone who had every right to be angry. "I don't know you." The other me laughed quietly, a painful laugh. "That's the problem." The lights above us flickered. The apartment behind the glass changed. The walls stretched. The furniture aged. The room transformed into something else. A basement. The same basement from the memory I couldn't hold. Concrete walls, one hanging bulb, a wooden chair in the center, and Daniel sitting in it, alive. The other me stepped aside, showing us. Daniel looked exactly as he had the night he disappeared. Young, scared, waiting. My heart stopped. "Daniel," he looked up. For the first time since entering this place, I saw the real Daniel. Not a voice, not a memory, not a copy, the real one, and he looked terrified. He stood slowly, walked toward the glass, Then he raised one finger and pointed behind me. I turned. The old man was gone. The hallway behind me was empty. The door to the apartment was still closed, but something was standing at the end of the corridor. Something tall, something impossibly thin, something wearing a face I recognized. My face. The thing smiled and said, "Now you understand why Daniel was afraid of you." I couldn't move. The thing at the end of the hallway wore my face. Not a mask, not an imitation. My face, but wrong. The smile was too patient, too calm, like it had spent years practicing the expression and still hadn't figured out why humans used it. Daniel slammed both hands against the glass. His mouth moved. I couldn't hear him. Then the thing behind me spoke again. "You're finally remembering." I turned slowly. The hallway stretched farther than it had a second earlier. The thing hadn't moved closer. It didn't need to. The distance between us was disappearing on its own. "What are you?" It tilted its head, the same way Daniel used to when he was trying to understand something. "I was there when you opened the door." My stomach tightened. "I never opened anything." The thing smiled wider. "You did." "No, you just don't remember." The glass behind me cracked again. Daniel's voice finally came through. "Matt." I spun around. He was pounding on the other side. "Don't listen to it." The thing looked toward him. For the first time, the smile faded. "You always were the difficult one." Daniel pressed his hand against the glass. "Don't believe anything it says." The thing stepped closer. The hallway lights went out behind it, one by one. "You remember the night differently because you needed to." My head began to ache. Images flashed. Daniel standing in the woods, a wooden door, rain falling, my own hands pushing something open. I grabbed my head. "No." The thing whispered, "You weren't looking for your brother." Another flash. A younger me crying. Daniel holding my arm, telling me to stop. "You were running from what you found." The memory disappeared. I opened my eyes. The hallway was normal again. Almost. The thing stood only a few feet away now. It looked exactly like me. "You forgot because Daniel made a deal." I looked toward the glass. Daniel froze. The thing noticed. "Ask him." I stared at my brother. "Daniel?" He looked away. That hurt more than anything, because Daniel never looked away from me. Not when we fought, not when we were kids, not when our parents argued. He always faced things. "What deal?" Silence. Then Daniel whispered, "I was trying to save you." The thing laughed softly. "No." The lights flickered. "He was trying to save everyone else from you." The words hit like a physical blow. I backed away. "Daniel," he closed his eyes. "I'm sorry." The glass between us began to melt. Not crack, melt like it was turning into liquid. The thing wearing my face stepped forward, and for the first time, I noticed something terrifying. It wasn't trying to get to me. It was trying to get away from something behind me. I turned. The hallway behind me was no longer empty. At the far end stood another figure, a person wearing a gray hoodie. Daniel, but younger, the way he looked the night he disappeared. He stared at the thing wearing my face and said one sentence, "You don't belong in his body anymore." The hallway went silent. Not quiet, silent. The kind of silence that comes before something breaks. The thing wearing my face slowly turned toward the younger version of Daniel. For the first time since I saw it, it looked uncertain. "You shouldn't be here." Daniel stood at the end of the corridor, 14 years old, the same gray hoodie, the same frightened eyes, but he wasn't afraid anymore. "I've been here the whole time." The thing looked back at me. "You don't understand what you're seeing." My younger brother took a step forward. "Neither did you." A strange pressure filled the hallway. The walls creaked. The photographs hanging along the corridor began falling one by one. Each picture hit the floor and shattered. Behind the glass frames were not images. They were memories, fragments of moments. My childhood, my brother's childhood, things I had forgotten. The first bike ride, the first day of school, the night our father left. Every memory floated like pieces of broken film. Then one memory stopped in front of me. The night Daniel disappeared. I saw myself, 14 years old, standing in the woods, rain pouring down. Daniel stood beside the impossible door, the same door, the one from the forest, the one that started everything. "You brought me here," I whispered. The younger Daniel looked at me sadly. "I tried to stop you." The memory continued. My younger self was crying. I just want Mom to stop hurting. My heart tightened. That was it. The thing I'd forgotten. Not Daniel disappearing. Before that, our mother had been sick. Our father was gone. The house felt like it was falling apart. Daniel had found something in the woods. A door. A way out. At least that's what we thought. The younger version of me reached for the handle. Daniel grabbed my arm. Don't. My younger self looked at him. You said it would fix things. I was wrong. The memory froze. The thing wearing my face whispered, "Now you remember." I looked at it. You used me. No. Its expression changed. Almost offended. I helped you. You made me forget. I protected you. Daniel shook his head. You trapped him. The thing smiled again. He asked for the impossible. The words hung in the air, because somewhere deep inside, I remembered. I remembered standing in front of that door. I remembered wanting everything to stop. The pain, the fear, the loss. I remembered saying, I don't care what it costs. The old man appeared at the far end of the hallway. I didn't know where he came from, but when he saw my face, he knew. You remember now. I turned toward him. Who are you? He looked at Daniel, then at me, the person who warned you the first time. The hallway lights flickered. The thing wearing my face stepped closer, and the old man whispered the truth I'd been avoiding. I was the one who taught Daniel how to keep you asleep. The words felt impossible. Keep you asleep. I stared at the old man. You're saying I wasn't missing memories? He didn't answer. You're saying they were taken? A slow nod. Why? Daniel looked away. That hurt more than the answer. Why would my own brother do that? The old man sighed. Because you asked him to. No, you did. I would remember that. The thing wearing my face laughed softly. That's the entire point. I looked at Daniel. Tell me he's lying. My brother stood behind the melting glass, tears running down his face. I wanted to believe I was protecting you. The glass between us finally collapsed. Not shattered. It simply disappeared. For the first time in 9 years, I was standing face to face with my brother. But he wasn't the person I had imagined. He wasn't a missing child waiting to be rescued. He was someone who had spent years carrying something I couldn't even remember. I searched for you, I whispered. I know. I thought you were gone. I was. The answer stopped me. What does that mean? Daniel looked toward the thing wearing my face. It means the person you lost isn't the only person who disappeared. The thing smiled. You still don't understand. I ignored it. Daniel, he stepped closer. When we opened the door, it didn't take me. A pause. It took the part of you that opened it. The hallway became colder. I looked at the thing, my face, my voice, my memories. What are you? It answered immediately. The part of you that stayed. I felt sick. No. Daniel nodded. That's why it knows everything you know. The thing moved closer. Every fear, another step. Every regret, another. Every thought you buried. It touched its own chest. I am what you left behind. The old man spoke quietly. It was never trying to kill you. I looked at him. Then what does it want? The old man looked at the thing. It wants to go home. The thing smiled. 9 years trapped in a place between worlds. It looked at me. 9 years watching you live my life. My throat tightened. What are you talking about? The thing stepped closer until we were only a few feet apart. When you left this place, it pointed at me. You didn't leave alone. A memory exploded into my mind. Not a dream, not a fragment, a full memory. The door opening, the woods, Daniel screaming, something reaching through, my younger self being pulled backward, and then me waking up the next morning, but something was different. My reflection, my voice, my memories, I wasn't the same person. I stumbled backward. No, the thing whispered, you weren't rescued, Matt. The lights above us flickered. You were replaced. And behind me, Daniel quietly said, that's what I've been trying to fix for 9 years. I turned toward Daniel. For a moment, I couldn't see my brother. I saw every year without him, every birthday, every holiday, every time someone asked if I had heard anything, every time I told myself I was okay. All of it built around one impossible question. If Daniel had been here, then what had I been? What are you saying? Daniel looked exhausted, like he had repeated these words in his head thousands of times, but never found the courage to say them aloud. I'm saying the person who came home that night wasn't the same person who went into the woods. The hallway seemed to move around us. The walls stretched. The lights flickered. The thing wearing my face watched silently, almost proudly. No, Daniel stepped closer. Matt. No. I backed away. I remember coming home. Yes. I remember Mom crying. Yes. I remember Dad calling the police. Yes. Then I'm me. Daniel's expression broke. That's what I wanted to believe too. The old man looked toward the end of the corridor. We need to move. I looked at him. Why? His eyes focused on the thing. Because now that you remember, it doesn't have to pretend anymore. The thing smiled. The expression was exactly mine. That was the worst part. It knew how I looked when I was amused, when I was angry, when I was afraid. It knew me better than I knew myself. You're afraid of the wrong thing. Its voice was quiet. You think I'm the monster because I look different. I said nothing. It continued, but I was the one who stayed behind. The hallway darkened. I was the one who felt every year pass. The lights above us flashed. I was the one who watched Daniel disappear. Daniel lowered his eyes. The thing pointed at him. Ask him what happened after you left. I looked at my brother. He didn't answer. That was answer enough. What happened? Daniel swallowed. I tried to bring you back. How? I opened the door again. My stomach dropped. You came back here? Every year. The words barely left his mouth. Every year? I thought if I could find the part of you that stayed. He looked at the thing. I could put you back together. The thing laughed. Instead, you gave me time. A deep vibration moved through the hallway. The floor trembled. The photographs on the walls began changing again. But this time they weren't memories. They were warnings. Images of people standing at doors, people reaching through, people disappearing. The old man moved toward a staircase that hadn't been there before. We have to go. I didn't move. Where? To the first door. Daniel looked terrified. That door should never be opened again. The old man nodded. I know. Then why are we going there? He looked at me. Because the only way to separate you from it, a pause, is to return to where you became two. The thing wearing my face stepped forward. For the first time its voice changed. The anger underneath finally showed. You don't understand what happens if that door opens. The old man stopped. Neither do you. The thing smiled, a cold, empty smile. Yes, I do. The lights went out. In the darkness I heard it whisper, because I was the one standing outside when you closed it. I couldn't see anything. Not the hallway, not Daniel, not the old man, only darkness. Then I heard footsteps, slow, careful, coming closer. My first instinct was to run, my second was to freeze, because I didn't know which direction was safe anymore. Matt, Daniel's voice. I reached out. Daniel? A hand grabbed mine. For a moment, relief hit me. Then I realized something. The hand was too cold. Not freezing. Not dead. Just wrong. I pulled away. The lights returned. Daniel stood a few feet away. The real Daniel. Or at least the version I wanted to believe was real. The old man was beside him, but the thing wearing my face was gone. Where did it go? Nobody answered. That scared me more than anything. Daniel looked toward the ceiling. It's waiting. For what? For you to choose. I shook my head. Choose what? The old man stepped forward. The truth. I almost laughed. I don't even know what the truth is anymore. The old man nodded. That's because you've spent 9 years living with a missing piece. He walked toward the staircase. Come. We followed. The stairs descended deeper than they should have. Past the basement, past the subway, past anything that made sense. The walls changed as we went down. Brick became concrete. Concrete became stone. Stone became something else. Something smooth and black, like glass, but beneath the surface. I saw movement, shapes, people, hundreds of them, trapped inside. I stopped. What are those? Daniel looked away. People who couldn't decide. Decide what? Whether they wanted to leave. The old man kept walking. Every door requires a choice. That sounds like something it would say. The old man glanced back. Because it is true. At the bottom of the stairs was a room, small, empty, except for one object. A wooden door, standing alone. No wall, no frame, just a door. The same door from the woods. The same door from my memory. The first door. My chest tightened. I remember this. Daniel nodded. I know. I stepped closer. The handle was scratched, the paint was peeling, and carved into the wood were words. Not names, a sentence. Everything you lose waits on the other side. The old man stood behind me. This is where it began. I reached toward the handle. Daniel grabbed my arm. Don't. I looked at him. You spent 9 years trying to get me back. Yes. Then why stop me? His eyes filled with tears. Because the last time you opened it, he looked at the door. You weren't trying to find me. The room became silent. What was I trying to find? Daniel's voice dropped. You were trying to find a way to erase yourself. The door handle moved. Someone on the other side turned it slowly, and a voice spoke. My voice. The voice of the person who had been trapped here. Don't open it, Matt. A pause. That's what I told you the first time. I stared at the door. My hand hovered inches from the handle. The voice on the other side sounded exactly like me. Not the thing wearing my face, not the version I had seen in the apartment. This sounded broken, exhausted, like someone who had spent years waiting for someone who never came back. The old man stepped closer. Do not answer. I looked at him. Why? Because it wants a response. Who does? He didn't say its name. He didn't have to. The door handle stopped moving. Then came a quiet knock. 3 times. The same rhythm. The same pattern. My entire body went cold. Daniel noticed. You remember? I shook my head. No. But I did. Not completely. Just enough. The first night, the first door, the first mistake. Daniel and I had stood exactly where I was standing now. Except we weren't in this strange underground room. We were in the woods behind our house. We were kids, and we thought we had found something impossible, something magical, something that could fix everything. The door had appeared after Daniel found an old journal buried beneath a fallen tree. The journal belonged to someone who had lived in our town decades earlier. Someone who wrote about doors that appeared when people were desperate enough. Doors that offered exactly what people wanted, but always took something in return. I remembered laughing. I remembered saying it was fake. I remembered opening it anyway. The memory broke apart. I grabbed my head. Stop. Daniel looked worried. Matt? I remember. The old man went still. What? I looked at the door. I remember why I opened it. The handle turned slightly. What did you want? I closed my eyes, and the answer came back. Not slowly. All at once. I wanted my family back. I wanted my mother healthy. I wanted my father to come home. I wanted the pain to stop. But there was something else. Something I had forgotten. Something worse. I wanted someone else to suffer instead. My eyes opened. Daniel was watching me. You know. I couldn't speak because I remembered. The night before the door appeared, I had wished something terrible. I had wished that the person responsible for all our pain would disappear. My father. The man who left. The man who hurt our family. The man I hated. And the next day, the door appeared. The old man whispered, the door doesn't create wishes. I looked at him. It answers them. Daniel stepped back. No. The door creaked open slightly. A thin line of darkness appeared. From inside came the sound of rain. Our old backyard, our old house, our old life. Then a voice whispered, you didn't lose your brother that night. The opening widened. You traded him. Daniel covered his mouth. No. The voice continued, and now the door wants payment. The lights in the room went out. When they returned, Daniel was gone. The room was empty. Not empty like before. Not abandoned. Empty like something had been removed. A space where something important had been, only moments earlier. Daniel? My voice echoed. No answer. I turned toward the old man. Where is he? He didn't move. His face told me he already knew. Where is he? The old man looked at the open door. I grabbed his coat. You said this place couldn't take him. I said it wasn't supposed to. Then get him back. The old man didn't resist. I can't. The anger came faster than fear. You brought me here. No. He looked directly at me. You brought yourself here. The words hit harder than I expected. I looked at the door. The opening was wider now. Beyond it was my childhood backyard. The old wooden fence, the swing set, the kitchen light glowing through the window. A perfect memory, a perfect trap. I stepped forward. The old man grabbed my shoulder. If you go through that door, you may not come back. My brother is on the other side. So is everything you've been avoiding. I looked back. What happened to you? The old man was quiet. Then, I opened one. The answer surprised me. When? Before you were born. Why? His expression changed. Because for the first time I saw the same regret I carried. I wanted someone back. Who? My daughter. The room went silent. Did it work? He looked toward the doorway. No. The honesty in his voice stopped me. What did it do? It gave me a chance to see her. A pause. And then it made me understand I was the reason she was gone. The door creaked. The backyard beyond it changed. The swing moved. Slowly. Someone was sitting on it. I couldn't see the person's face, but I knew. Daniel. The old man saw him too. That's not him. I don't care. I stepped forward. Matt, the voice came from the backyard. Daniel, please. The old man whispered, it's testing you. I ignored him. Daniel. The figure on the swing stopped moving, then slowly turned. My brother looked exactly like he did the night he disappeared. 14 years old, scared, confused, waiting. I thought you forgot me, my eyes filled with tears. I never forgot you. The lie almost hurt, because some part of me knew it wasn't true. The figure smiled sadly. Yes, you did. The backyard flickered. For a second I saw something else. Not Daniel, the thing wearing my face, standing behind him, holding his shoulders, using him like a puppet. Then it was gone. The old man grabbed me. Listen to me. I looked at him. If that is Daniel. He shook his head. No. The door opened wider. A warm breeze moved through the room, carrying the smell of summer, grass, rain, home. Then Daniel said something that made me stop. Something only my brother could know. Something nobody else could have learned. Matt, his voice cracked. Remember what you told me before you closed the door. My heartbeat stopped, because I did remember. The words came back. The words I had spent 9 years forgetting. If I can't come back. Daniel stared at me. Promise you'll make sure nobody else does. The memory hit me harder than any fear I had felt since entering this place. Because I remembered saying it. I remembered Daniel crying. I remembered the door. I remembered the impossible choice. But I also remembered something else. Something I hadn't wanted to remember. Daniel hadn't pushed me away. He hadn't abandoned me. He had tried to save me. And I had been the one who made him promise. The old man watched my face. You understand now. I barely heard him. My brother didn't trap me. No, I trapped him. The old man didn't answer. He didn't need to. The backyard beyond the door remained frozen. Daniel sat on the swing, waiting, like he had waited for 9 years or longer. How do I get him back? The old man looked at the doorway. You have to finish what you started. I stepped closer. What does that mean? It means the door was never the prison. The old man looked at me. You were. The words hurt because they felt true. The thing wearing my face had always claimed it was the part of me that stayed behind. The forgotten piece. The piece sacrificed. But maybe it wasn't the victim. Maybe it was the consequence. The part of myself I abandoned because I couldn't live with what I had done. I walked toward the door. The old man didn't stop me. Matt. I looked back. If you see the thing, the one wearing my face, he nodded. Do not fight it. That surprised me. Why? Because it isn't the enemy. I looked at the doorway. Then what is it? The old man answered quietly. The part of you that remembers. I stepped through. The feeling was immediate. Warm air, summer night, the smell of freshly cut grass. I was home. Not a copy, not a memory. Home. My childhood house stood exactly as it had. The porch light glowed. The kitchen window was open. A television played quietly inside. For a moment, I forgot everything. I almost believed I had escaped. Then I saw the mailbox. My name was written on it. Not Matthew, not Matt. A name I hadn't seen in years. A name from the first night. The name my mother called me when I was little. The name Daniel used only when he was serious. I touched the mailbox. The paint peeled away. Underneath were hundreds of names. Every person who had opened the door. Every person who had made a choice. I looked toward the house. The front door opened. Someone stood inside. Not Daniel, not the thing. Me. The other me. The one from the apartment. He looked older now, tired, but peaceful. I was wondering when you'd come back. I didn't move. Who are you? He smiled sadly. You know. I shook my head. No. He stepped onto the porch. You spent 9 years pretending I didn't exist. A pause. But you were wrong about what I was. The house lights flickered. Behind him, shadows moved through the windows. Then tell me. He looked at the dark house behind him. I was never the part of you that stayed. I was the part of you that wanted to leave. He looked directly at me, and I finally understand why. The other me stood on the porch, like he had been waiting there my entire life. Maybe he had. That thought was worse than anything else. Because if he was right, then I hadn't spent 9 years searching for my missing brother. I had spent 9 years running from myself. What do you mean you wanted to leave? He looked back at the house. Do you remember the night before the door appeared? I didn't answer. I didn't want to, because I did. The memories were coming faster now. Not like flashes, like a dam breaking. The arguments, the shouting. My mother crying in the kitchen, my father leaving. Daniel pretending everything was okay because he was always the one who tried to make things better. And me, I remembered being angry. Not scared, not sad, angry. I hated him. The other me nodded. Yes. I looked away. I was a kid. I know, I didn't mean it. You meant it enough. The words hurt because they were true. Children say things adults would never forgive themselves for. Things they don't understand. Things that disappear into the past. Except sometimes, they don't. The other me walked down the porch steps. The door heard you. I swallowed. What did it do? It offered you exactly what you wanted. I wanted my family back. No, he stopped. You wanted the pain to stop. The house behind him changed. The windows became dark. The warm light disappeared. And when you couldn't fix everything, he looked at me. You decided you didn't want to be the person who had to live with it. A cold feeling moved through me. No, the other me didn't argue. You don't remember because you couldn't. Couldn't? Because if you remembered, you would have to accept what happened. The front door behind him opened wider. Inside the house I heard voices. My mother's, my father's, Daniel's, all calling my name, all from different rooms. The other me looked toward the doorway. They are not real. I know. No, you don't. He looked back at me. That's the trick. The voices grew louder. They weren't calling for help. They were calling me home. Matt, my mother's voice. Please. I closed my eyes. The sound almost broke me. The other me whispered, the door doesn't create lies. I opened my eyes. It uses the truth. The porch beneath us cracked. The house shook. Somewhere inside, something heavy moved. The other me stepped closer. Daniel is still alive. Hope hit me instantly. But there is always a cost. I looked at him. What cost? His expression became serious. You can't take him back and leave everything else behind. The sky above the house changed. The stars disappeared. The darkness above us opened like a wound. The thing that had followed us through the city finally appeared. Not wearing my face, not pretending, just a shape in the sky, something too large to understand. The other me looked upward. It knows we're here. My heart raced. What is it? The first thing that ever came through the door. The house behind us began collapsing inward. The ground shook, and from inside the house, Daniel screamed, Matt. The other me grabbed my arm. Now you choose. I looked at the burning doorway. Choose what? He stared at me. Save your brother. A pause, or close the door forever. I looked at the house. The flames weren't normal. They didn't spread. They moved backward. Smoke fell toward the ground instead of rising. The entire place was unraveling, piece by piece, like a memory being erased. But Daniel was inside. I could hear him. Matt. I ran toward the door. The other me grabbed my shoulder. You don't understand. I pulled away. I understand enough. No, you don't. His voice cracked. You think this is about saving him? I stopped. What else would it be? He looked at me with a sadness I recognized, because it was my sadness. It's about accepting what happened. The front door shook. Something slammed against it from the inside. Daniel screamed again. Please. I grabbed the handle. It was burning hot, but I didn't let go. The second my hand touched the door, memories poured into me. Not mine, his, Daniel. I saw everything. The years after I forgot. The first time he tried to open the door again. The first time he came back looking for me. The first time he realized the person who returned home wasn't completely me. He had noticed. Everyone had. But nobody said anything. Because how do you tell someone they aren't the same person anymore? How do you tell a family that the son who came home was missing something they could never see? Daniel spent years searching, not for revenge, not because he hated me, because he believed there was still a way to fix it. Then he found the old man, the one person who understood the doors. Together they tried to bring me back, but every attempt made things worse. The door wasn't holding me. It was holding the thing that had replaced the missing part, the thing that had learned how to be me, the thing that had lived my life. A voice whispered, "You left me." I turned. The thing stood behind me. No face, no shape, just darkness. "You were supposed to stay." I understood then. It wasn't born evil. It wasn't a monster that appeared from nowhere. It was created from everything I refused to carry. My anger, my fear, my regret, my desire to disappear. I looked at it. "I'm sorry." The darkness shifted. The thing laughed softly. "That's not enough." "No." I stepped closer. "It's not." The house shook harder. The door behind me started closing. Daniel screamed. The old me shouted, "Matt." I looked at the doorway, then back at the thing. "What happens if I take Daniel?" It answered, "You lose me. And if I close the door, you lose him." The choice was exactly what the door wanted. A sacrifice, a trade. The same thing it had always offered. But then I realized something. The door was wrong. It only understood taking. It only understood losing. Because that's what I had taught it. I looked at the thing that wore my pain. "You think you are the part of me that was abandoned." It said nothing. "But you're wrong." The darkness moved closer. "What am I?" I looked toward the house, toward Daniel. "You're the part of me that survived." For the first time, the thing looked afraid. The thing stood motionless. For the first time since I had entered this impossible world, it didn't look powerful. It looked lost. "You survived?" Its voice sounded different now. Less like a monster. More like someone who had finally heard something they never expected. I nodded. "Yes." The darkness around it shifted. "I waited 9 years. I know. I carried everything you couldn't. I know. You think saying that changes anything?" "No." I looked toward the burning house. Because I was wrong. The thing moved closer. The ground beneath it cracked. "You were wrong?" I nodded. "I thought you were the part of me that was stolen." A pause. "But you weren't." The wind stopped. "You were the part of me I abandoned." The shape became unstable. For a moment, I saw pieces of myself inside it. A scared kid, an angry teenager, a man who couldn't forgive himself. All the versions of me I had buried. The thing whispered, "Then why did you leave me?" The question hurt because there was no answer that could make it better. I was afraid. The darkness trembled. I thought if I forgot what happened, I could become someone else. The house behind us groaned. The walls folded inward. But I wasn't someone else. I stepped closer. I was just incomplete. The thing looked toward the doorway. Daniel's voice came again. "Matt." The door was almost closed. The old me stood beside it, holding it open with both hands. His body flickered, like he was fading. "Choose." I looked back at the thing. "What happens if I accept you?" It was quiet. Then, "You go back. And you?" A long pause. "I don't know." That answer surprised me, because it was honest. For years I had imagined this thing as a thief, something that stole my life. But maybe it had been trapped too. Maybe it had spent years trying to become something it was never meant to be. I reached out my hand. The darkness pulled away. "Don't." "Why?" "Because if you accept me," its voice cracked, "you'll remember everything." I looked at the burning house. I already do. The memories were there now, all of them. The pain, the anger, the regret, the night Daniel disappeared, the choice I made, the person I became. I wasn't afraid anymore. The thing stared at my hand, then slowly reached toward it. The moment we touched, the world disappeared. I was everywhere at once. I was 14 years old. I was sitting in the woods. I was standing in my childhood bedroom. I was watching Daniel leave. I was watching myself break. Every memory I had buried came rushing back, but something else came with it, a truth I had missed. The door had never wanted a sacrifice. It had never demanded payment. It only reflected what people brought to it, and I had brought my own guilt, my own hatred, my own need to escape. The door didn't create monsters, it gave them somewhere to live. When I opened my eyes, I was standing in the woods again, the same woods where this began. The door stood in front of me, but this time, Daniel was beside me, and he was crying because he finally saw me. Not the version who came back, not the version who forgot. Me, the real me. You came back. I nodded. I'm sorry it took so long. Daniel laughed through his tears. You're still terrible at apologies. For the first time in years, I smiled. Then we heard something behind us, a door opening. Slowly we turned. The old man stood several feet away, but he wasn't alone. Behind him were dozens of doors, hundreds, all standing between the trees, waiting. The old man looked at me. It isn't over. I stared at the impossible doors. What do you mean? He looked toward the darkness beyond them. Your door was only one. And somewhere deep in the forest, another door opened. The sound of the second door opening was different. The first door had sounded old, wood bending, hinges fighting against years of rust. This one sounded new, clean, almost eager. Daniel stepped closer to me. How many are there? The old man looked into the forest. His face carried the same exhaustion I had seen before. Nobody knows. I stared at the doors scattered between the trees. Some were attached to nothing. Some stood between trees. Some leaned against the side of empty spaces where buildings should have been. A red door, a metal door, a child's bedroom door, a door covered in scratches, a door that looked exactly like the front door of my childhood home. They all lead here? The old man shook his head. No. Then where? Wherever someone is desperate enough to open them. The answer made my stomach sink, because now I understood. This wasn't a place. Not exactly. It was a choice. A moment where someone wanted something so badly that reality gave them a way to ask. Daniel looked at the doors. How long have you been doing this? The old man didn't answer. He walked toward the nearest door, an old wooden one covered in peeling blue paint. I stopped counting. Why? He placed his hand against it. Because every person who opens one believes they are the first. The door trembled. A voice came from behind it, a child crying. The old man closed his eyes. Someone always believes they can fix the past. Daniel looked at me. We did. I nodded. Yes, but we almost destroyed everything. The old man looked back at us. Most people do. A branch snapped somewhere behind us. The forest became quiet. Too quiet. I felt it before I saw it. That feeling, the feeling of being watched. But this time, it wasn't the thing wearing my face. Something else was out there. Something that had been listening. Is there another one? I asked. The old man looked toward the trees. There are always more. The door behind him opened slightly. A hand appeared in the gap. A human hand. Small. A child's hand. Daniel moved forward. Someone is trapped. The old man grabbed him. No. Why? Because that's how it starts. The hand disappeared. The door closed. Then a voice whispered from behind it. A voice I recognized. My mother's. Matthew? My entire body froze. Daniel looked at me. Don't. But my mother spoke again. Please. The old man watched me carefully. Remember what you learned. The voice behind the door became softer. You left me too. I closed my eyes and knew exactly where to reach. The guilt, the regret, the things I never said. But this time, I understood. The doors didn't create impossible choices. They offered familiar ones. They asked the same question every time. What would you give to undo your pain? And the dangerous part was, most people already knew their answer. I opened my eyes. I can't open it. The old man nodded. Good. I looked at the blue door. Because someone else is on the other side. A pause. And if they need saving, I looked at all the doors in the forest. They need someone who isn't willing to become another prisoner. The old man smiled slightly. The first real smile I had seen from him. You finally understand. Then every door in the forest opened at once, and from every doorway, someone whispered the same sentence. Please don't leave us here. The voices surrounded us. Not one voice. Thousands. Some sounded young, some old, some familiar, some completely unknown. But every single one carried the same emotion: fear, need, desperation. The forest changed. The trees stretched upward, their branches twisting around the doors like they were trying to hold them shut. The old man stepped back. For the first time, I saw something close to panic on his face. "What?" Daniel noticed too. "What is it?" The old man looked at the open doors. They've never all opened at once. A cold feeling moved through me. "Why now?" The old man didn't answer immediately. Then he looked at me. "Because they know you came back." I stared at him. "Me? You closed one door." The voices grew louder. "That hasn't happened in a very long time." The doors began changing. The red door became covered in deep scratches. The metal door bent inward. The bedroom door showed a flickering light beneath it. Each one was reacting, waiting. I stepped forward. "What happens if nobody answers?" The old man looked toward the nearest door. "Eventually someone does." Daniel looked at me. "That's how we ended up here." I nodded. "Someone desperate. Someone hurting. Someone who believed one impossible choice would fix everything." The same mistake, over and over. A door slammed shut in the distance. Then another, then another. Something was moving through the forest. Not behind the doors, between them. The old man noticed. His expression changed. "No." "What?" He looked toward the darkness. "It followed you." The air became colder. The thing that had worn my face was gone. But something had remained. Something older. Something that existed before my mistake. "What's following us?" The old man didn't answer. Because the trees behind us began bending. Not from wind. Something was walking through them. Slowly, the branches moved aside. The ground cracked beneath invisible weight. Daniel grabbed my arm. "Matt." I looked. At first I saw nothing. Then the darkness between the trees moved. A shape stepped forward. Tall, wrong, not human, not wearing anyone's face. This was the thing that had been on the other side of every door. The thing that gave people what they wanted. The thing that waited for them to make the choice. The old man whispered. "The first one." The creature stopped at the edge of the clearing. Every open door turned toward it, like flowers facing the sun. It looked at me, and somehow, I knew it recognized me. "You are different." Its voice wasn't loud, it didn't need to be. "I remember you." Daniel stepped in front of me. The creature ignored him. "You were the only one who came back." I felt my stomach tighten. How many people didn't? The creature tilted its head. "Enough." The old man stepped forward. "Leave them." The creature looked at him. "You still protect them." A pause. "After what they did to you." The old man went silent. I looked at him. The creature smiled. "Ask him." The old man's face changed, and I realized something. There was a reason he knew the doors, a reason he knew the rules, a reason he had spent decades trying to stop them. The creature spoke again. He was never trying to close the doors. The forest went still. He was trying to find the one that took his daughter. The old man looked down and whispered, "That's true." The confession hung in the air. For a moment, nobody moved. Not me, not Daniel, not even the creature. The old man looked older than he had before, not physically, something deeper, like admitting the truth had taken away the last thing keeping him standing. "You lied to us." His eyes met mine. "Yes." Daniel stepped forward. "All this time." The old man nodded. "I should have told you." "Why didn't you?" "Because people who know the truth usually make the same mistake." I looked at the doors surrounding us. "Which is," he looked at the creature. "They think they can make a better deal." The creature moved closer. The ground beneath it darkened. "Everyone believes they are different." Its voice carried through the trees. "The child who wants a parent back. The husband who wants one more conversation. The person who wants to erase one terrible mistake." It looked directly at me. "The brother who wants to undo one night." Daniel clenched his fists. "Stop." The creature ignored him. "They all say the same thing." The open doors began whispering. "I just need one more chance." The words came from every direction. I looked at the old man. "Your daughter." He closed his eyes. "Her name was Emily." The forest became quieter. I opened a door because she died. Daniel lowered his head. "What happened?" The old man looked at the ground. "I thought I could bring her back." A pause. "I was wrong." The creature smiled. "You were not wrong." Everyone looked at it. "You were successful." The old man froze. The creature continued. "You got exactly what you asked for." The old man took a step back. "No. You saw her." The creature's voice became softer. You held her hand. The old man looked horrified, but she wasn't really her. The creature tilted its head. What is real? Nobody answered, because that was the question that destroyed everyone. The question every door depended on. The creature turned toward me. You understand now. I didn't respond. Your brother returned. It looked at Daniel. Your memories returned. It looked at me. The lost parts returned. A pause. Was that not what you wanted? I hated that it made sense, because it was true. I had spent years wanting exactly this. I wanted Daniel back. I wanted the truth. I wanted to remember, and somehow, I got everything. The creature stepped closer. The doors don't lie. The old man whispered, no. The creature looked at him. They only show people what they are willing to destroy themselves for. The old man looked at me. Don't listen. But I was listening because there was one question I couldn't ignore. If the doors don't lie, I looked at the creature. Then why are people trapped? The creature was silent for the first time. Then it answered, because they don't know how to leave. The nearest door opened wider. Inside was darkness. Then a voice came through, a woman's voice, a voice I had heard my entire life, my mother's voice. Matthew. I froze. The creature watched me. Everyone has one thing they cannot walk away from. The voice came again. Please come home. The creature whispered, what is yours? I stared at the doorway. My mother's voice came from inside. Not a memory, not an imitation. It sounded exactly like her. The small details were what made it dangerous. The slight tiredness in her voice, the way she stretched my name when she was worried, the way she always sounded like she was trying not to cry. Matthew. Daniel grabbed my arm. Don't. I looked at him. What if it is her? His expression broke, because he understood why I asked, because he had asked the same question about me. The old man stepped closer. The hardest doors are not the ones that show you what you lost. He looked at the open doorway. They are the ones that show you what you wish you had said. The voice came again. Please. I closed my eyes, and memories came. My mother sitting at the kitchen table after everyone was asleep. My mother pretending everything was fine. My mother telling me that things would get better. Me walking past her, too angry, too hurt, too young to understand that adults could break too. The worst memory returned. The last conversation, the night before Daniel disappeared. I had said things I couldn't take back. I had blamed her. I had blamed my father. I had blamed Daniel. I had blamed everyone except myself. And my mother had just looked at me and said, I hope you never carry this much anger forever. I opened my eyes. The door waited. The creature watched. What happens if I go in? The creature answered, you get what you want. And the price? A pause. You already know. I looked at Daniel. He nodded slowly. The door wasn't offering me my mother. It was offering me the chance to avoid accepting that she was gone. The same trap, different face. I stepped away. The voice behind the door became desperate. Matthew. I stopped because it sounded hurt, not angry, hurt. Don't leave me again. Those words cut deeper than anything, because they were the exact words I feared, that I was the person who always left. Daniel saw my expression. Matt. I looked at him. What if she's waiting? Daniel walked closer. You spent 9 years waiting for me. A tear rolled down his face. Do you really think I would tell you to walk away if I didn't understand? The door shook. The creature moved. Careful. Everyone looked at it. It smiled. You are learning. The old man frowned. What does that mean? The creature looked at me. He is close. My stomach tightened. Who? The creature pointed behind me. Slowly. Everyone turned. At the edge of the forest stood another figure. A woman. Older. Tired. Crying. My mother. Except this time, the creature didn't create her. The old man didn't warn me. Daniel didn't tell me to run, because he couldn't. He was staring too. Mom? The woman looked at me. Her face broke. Matthew. I couldn't move, because she knew something no door copy could know. She said the words she whispered to me the night Daniel disappeared. The words nobody else heard. The words I had buried. You were never supposed to carry this alone. The forest went silent. The creature stepped back, and for the first time, it looked afraid. My mother stood between the trees, not behind a door, not inside a memory, not trapped somewhere I couldn't reach. Standing there, real enough to break my heart. I wanted to run to her. Every part of me wanted to. The child inside me, the angry teenager, the adult who had spent years wondering if he had been responsible for everything that happened. All of them wanted the same thing. One more hug, one more conversation, one chance to say what I should have said. But I didn't move, because I had learned something. The things we want most are the easiest things to use against us. My mother looked at me. "You don't trust it." I swallowed. "I don't know what to trust anymore." She nodded. "I know." Her voice was exactly the same. Not perfect, not magical, human. That scared me more. The creature remained silent. The old man stared at her. His face had changed. "You." My mother looked at him. The old man stepped backward. "How?" She looked sad. "Because you never stopped looking." The old man's hands shook. "Emily?" She nodded. He covered his mouth. For a moment he looked like someone who had spent his entire life waiting for one impossible moment. Then he looked at me, and I saw the fear return. "Don't." The old man stepped between us. "Don't go near her." My heart sank. "Why?" His eyes filled with tears. "Because I made this mistake." The forest went quiet. My daughter came back. He looked at the woman standing there, and I accepted it without asking what it cost. The woman looked hurt. The creature smiled. Finally, the old man shook his head. "No." The creature stepped closer. "You spent 40 years pretending you didn't know." The old man looked at me. "She is not my daughter." The words were brutal. The woman flinched, and somehow that made it worse, because she looked real. She looked hurt. She looked human. The old man continued. "That doesn't mean she isn't suffering." The creature looked toward the doors. "That is the problem." It turned back to us. "Humans think something must be fake to be dangerous." The wind moved through the forest. But sometimes the most dangerous things are the things that are real enough to love. My mother walked closer. I stayed still. "Matthew." Her voice broke. "I know you're scared." A tear fell down her face. "But I need you to hear me." I looked at her. "What?" She smiled sadly. "You didn't cause what happened." The words hit harder than anything else, because for 9 years, that was the one thing I couldn't believe. She continued. "You were a child. The forest changed. The door stopped moving. The creature looked away. You made a mistake. A pause, but you weren't evil." My chest tightened. The thing wearing my face had said I was the monster. The door had shown me my worst moment. But maybe the worst thing you ever did was not the same as who you were. My mother reached out her hand. "Come here." I took one step, because I finally noticed something. Her shadow. It wasn't behind her. It was moving independently, and it was pointing toward the creature, not at me, warning me. The old man saw it too. His face changed. "Impossible." My mother looked frightened. The creature whispered, "Now you understand." I looked between them. "What?" The creature smiled. "She isn't the door's creation." A pause. "She's the reason the door opened." I felt the world tilt. "What did you say?" The creature didn't look at my mother. It looked at me. "Ask her." My mother lowered her hand. The sadness on her face changed, not disappeared, changed. Like someone who had been carrying a secret for too long and finally realized there was no place left to hide it. "Mom?" She looked away. That was enough, because my mother never looked away when she was innocent. Not when she was angry. Not when she was hurt. Never. "Tell me." The forest remained silent. Even the door stopped whispering. My mother took a slow breath. I didn't know what it was. The old man stared at her. "What?" She looked at him. "I didn't know the door was real." My heart started pounding. "Mom." She looked back at me. "After your father left, you changed." I swallowed. "I know." "No." Her eyes filled with tears. "You don't." The memories returned again, not the ones I wanted, the ones I buried, the nights I couldn't sleep, the anger, the fear, the feeling that our family was falling apart and nobody could stop it. My mother continued. "You and Daniel were both hurting." A pause. "But Daniel tried to fix things." She looked toward the forest. "And you tried to make them disappear." The words hurt because they were true. "I was a kid, I know." She stepped closer, "and I should have helped you." The confession surprised me. "What?" She shook her head. "I saw how much pain you were carrying. The wind moved through the trees. I saw you becoming someone you didn't recognize." She looked toward the doors. "And then I found the journal." Everything stopped. "The journal?" My mother nodded. "The one Daniel found." Daniel looked shocked. "You knew?" She looked at him. I knew enough. The old man stepped forward. You knew about the doors? No. Her voice cracked. I knew about the stories. The creature smiled. She wanted to save her family. My mother looked at it. Don't. The creature ignored her. She wanted to undo what happened. I stared at my mother. What did you do? She closed her eyes. The night before the door appeared, a tear fell. I made a wish. The forest went completely silent. Daniel whispered no. My mother looked at me. I wished I could take away your pain. My chest tightened, and the door answered. She nodded. Yes. The creature stepped closer. That is how the first door opened. I looked at the old man, then Daniel, then my mother. Everything I believed about that night was changing. The door wasn't opened by one person's desperation. It wasn't just my mistake. It wasn't just Daniel's choice. It wasn't just the old man's grief. It was all of us. A family broken enough to call something impossible. The creature whispered. The door was never invited by one person. It looked at all of us. It was invited by pain. The ground shook. Every door in the forest began opening wider. But this time, nothing came out. Something was going in. The darkness around us started pulling toward the doors. The creature looked up, and for the first time, it looked afraid. No. The old man noticed. What is happening? The creature backed away. The door is closing. I looked at him. Isn't that what you wanted? Its eyes turned toward me. No. A pause. Not like this. The forest trembled. The creature whispered. Someone else opened the final door. The ground beneath us cracked. Not like an earthquake. Like reality itself was splitting apart. Every door in the forest began pulling darkness toward itself. The shadows stretching across the ground moved backward. The wind reversed. Leaves lifted from the dirt and flew upward into the trees. Something was happening that even the creature didn't understand. That terrified me more than anything, because this thing had existed longer than any of us. It knew the rules, it knew the doors, and now it was afraid. Who opened it? The creature didn't answer. The old man looked around. Where is the final door? The creature turned slowly toward the center of the forest, a place where there had been nothing before. Now there was a door, not standing, not attached, just floating in the darkness. It was different from the others. No paint, no scratches, no handle, only smooth black wood. And somehow, I recognized it. My stomach dropped. No. Daniel looked at me. What? I couldn't take my eyes off it. I've seen that door before. The old man went pale. When? I swallowed. In my dreams. The creature whispered. Not dreams. The black door began opening, slowly. No sound, no resistance. Behind it was not darkness. It was a room, a bedroom, my bedroom, the one from when I was a child, the one where I sat awake at night listening to my parents argue, the one where Daniel would sneak in when he thought I was scared, a place that existed only in memory, except someone was inside, a child, sitting on the floor, holding a flashlight. My younger self. Daniel stepped backward. No. The old man stared. What is this? The creature answered. The beginning. The child inside the room looked up. He saw us, and his face changed. Fear, recognition, pain. It was me. Before everything happened, before the door, before the anger, before the choice. The child stood slowly. Then he spoke. Why did you come back? My throat tightened, because I knew that voice. It was mine. What do you mean? The child looked at the creature, then at me. You promised. A memory hit, hard. The night of the door, but not the version I remembered, the real one. After I opened the door, after the darkness came through, after Daniel grabbed my hand, there had been a moment, a choice. The door had asked me something, not with words, with feeling. What part of yourself are you willing to lose? And I had answered, not with my voice, with my fear. I had chosen the part of me that could survive. I had left behind the part that couldn't. The child looked at me. You left me here. I couldn't speak, because he was right. The creature stepped closer, and suddenly I understood. The thing wearing my face, the missing piece, the anger, the regret, all of it. It wasn't the first thing trapped behind the door. The first thing trapped behind the door was me. The child reached toward me. "Can you fix it now?" The creature whispered, "This is the choice you never finished." Daniel grabbed my arm. "Matt," I looked at him. "What happens if I go in?" He looked at the child, then at me, and answered honestly, "I don't know." The child waited. The old man whispered, "Every door has a final question." The room became silent. I looked at my younger self, then at Daniel, then at my mother, then at the creature that had carried my pain for years. The child spoke, "Who gets to leave?" The door opened completely, and I realized the final choice was never about saving someone else. It was about deciding which version of myself deserved to live. I stood in front of the black door. Everything had led to this. Every memory, every missing piece, every lie I told myself, every person who had been trapped by a door before me. All of it came down to one question. Who gets to leave? The old me sat inside the bedroom, small, terrified, waiting for an answer. The thing that had worn my face stood behind me. Daniel and my mother watched silently. Even the creature had stopped moving, because this wasn't its choice. It was mine. I stepped closer. The child looked up at me. "Are you going to leave me again?" The question hurt more than any monster could, because the answer was obvious. Yes, that was what I had done. I had spent years pretending I was healed, pretending I had moved on, pretending the person I was before the door never existed. But I had never actually saved him. I had abandoned him. I don't know how to fix this. The child looked down. Nobody ever does. A tear ran down his face. They just leave. The words hit everyone. My mother covered her mouth. Daniel looked away, because he understood. He had spent 9 years trying to bring me back, trying to save the part of me that was missing. But he couldn't do it for me. Nobody could. I had to choose. I stepped through the doorway. The second my foot touched the floor, the forest disappeared. I was in my childhood bedroom. The smell, the sounds, everything. My old posters, my old books, the small crack in the wall from when Daniel and I threw a baseball inside. Everything was exactly as I remembered. The child sat on the floor. "What happens now?" I sat down across from him. "I don't know." He looked confused. "You don't know?" I shook my head. "No." A small smile appeared. "You're older." "Yeah." "Do you know everything?" I almost laughed. "No." "Are you still scared?" I looked around the room, at the memories I had spent years running from. "Yes." The child nodded. "Me too." For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then I realized something. This child wasn't the thing. He wasn't a monster. He wasn't a mistake. He was just me, a kid who had experienced something impossible and made the only choice he knew how to make. "You thought nobody was coming back for you." The child looked away. I waited. "I know. I thought you forgot me." I did. The honesty surprised him, but I continued. "I'm sorry." The child looked at me. "I don't want an apology." "What do you want?" He thought for a moment, then answered. "I want you to stop being ashamed that I existed." The words broke something inside me, because that was the truth. I wasn't afraid of the door. I wasn't afraid of the creature. I was afraid of the person I had been. The angry kid, the scared kid, the kid who made a terrible choice. I reached out my hand. The child looked at it, then slowly took it. The room shook. Outside the bedroom window, the darkness began collapsing. The doors throughout the forest started closing. The creature screamed, not in anger, in pain. The child looked toward the window. "What's happening?" I held his hand tighter. "We're going home." The bedroom door opened. Daniel stood there, crying. "Matt." I looked at my brother. For the first time, he wasn't looking for the missing version of me. He was looking at all of me, together. The child squeezed my hand, and then something impossible happened. He didn't disappear. He didn't become part of me. He simply stood, beside me, same face, same eyes, different years. The door behind Daniel began closing. The creature outside whispered, "No." I looked back. The thing that carried my pain was fading, but it wasn't angry. It looked relieved, because finally, it didn't have to carry me anymore. Then the final door closed, and every person trapped between worlds was released. The silence after the door closed was unlike anything I had ever experienced. Not the heavy silence of fear, not the empty silence of being alone. This was something different, peaceful. The kind of silence that comes after a storm has finally passed. I stood in my childhood bedroom, my younger self still holding my hand. Daniel stood in the doorway, my mother behind him. The impossible thing that had followed me for years was gone. No more whispers, no more voices, no more doors waiting for someone desperate enough to open them. But I knew better than to think everything was magically fixed. Some things cannot be undone. Some wounds don't disappear, they just stop controlling you. Daniel looked at the child beside me. "Is that?" I nodded. "Yeah." He smiled sadly. "I always wondered where you went." The younger me looked at him. "You came back." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "Of course I did." The child looked confused. "Why?" Daniel stepped into the room. "Because you were my brother." That was all. No complicated explanation, no impossible rule, just the truth. My mother walked closer. She looked at the younger version of me. For a moment she couldn't speak. Then she knelt down. "I'm sorry." The child looked uncomfortable. "Why?" "Because you were hurting." She wiped away tears. "And I thought you were just angry." The child looked down. "I was." She nodded. "I know." A pause. "But you were also scared." The child didn't answer. Because he knew. We all knew. The room began changing. The walls faded. The posters disappeared. The memories became transparent. It was time. I felt it. The door wasn't forcing us out. It was releasing us. Daniel looked at me. "Are we going back?" I nodded. "I think so." The younger me squeezed my hand. "What happens to me?" I looked at him. That was the question I had feared, but now I knew the answer. "You come with us." He looked surprised. "I do?" "Yes." The room brightened. The three of us stood together. The child, the brother, the person I became. For the first time in years, I wasn't missing anything. The light grew stronger. Then everything went white. I woke up on the forest floor. Morning, real morning. Sunlight through the trees, birds, wind, normal sounds. For a few seconds I didn't move. I was afraid it was another dream. Then I heard someone breathing beside me. Daniel, alive, older, real. He opened his eyes. That was the worst vacation I've ever had. I laughed. A real laugh. The first one in years. "You always hated camping." He smiled. "I still do." We sat there for a while. Neither of us spoke, because there was nothing to say. We had spent years looking for answers, but sometimes answers don't fix things. Sometimes they just allow you to finally stop searching. My mother was standing a few feet away. She looked toward the trees. "The doors are gone." I followed her gaze. The forest was empty. No impossible paths. No strange shadows. No impossible doors. Just trees. Just morning. Just life. Almost. Because as we stood up to leave, I noticed something. A small piece of wood buried beneath the leaves. I picked it up. A piece from the first door. Carved into it were 3 words. Not a warning, not a threat. A reminder. Remember whole you. I smiled. Then I dropped it back into the forest. And for the first time, I walked away without looking back. I thought that would be the end. For a while I believed it was. And maybe that was the lesson. Maybe the universe doesn't always give you a clean ending. Maybe sometimes you just get a quiet morning, a second chance, and the choice to stop digging into places where you were never meant to return. For the first few months, everything felt normal. Almost too normal. Daniel moved closer. My mother started rebuilding her life. We didn't talk about the forest every day. We didn't need to. Some experiences are too large to explain. They become something you carry. A scar. Not an open wound. A reminder. But there was one thing that never changed. I remembered everything. Every detail. Every moment behind the doors. Every person who had been trapped. Every voice begging someone not to leave them. And sometimes, I wondered if we had really closed them all. 6 months after returning, I received a letter. No return address. No stamp. No name. It was sitting inside my mailbox. I almost threw it away. Almost. Then I saw the handwriting. My handwriting. My old handwriting. The way I wrote before the night everything changed. My hands went cold. I opened it. Inside was a single piece of paper. Only one sentence. "You closed the first door." I read it again. Then again. At the bottom was another line. You didn't close the last one. I immediately called Daniel. He answered on the second ring. You got one too? My stomach dropped. You know about this? A long silence. Then, yeah. When? Yesterday. I sat down. What did yours say? Daniel didn't answer. Daniel. His voice was quiet. Mine was different. What did it say? Another pause, then he said, you were never the one who opened the first door. I felt the room become colder. Daniel, I know. No, I stood up. That's not possible. What are you saying? He breathed out slowly. I'm saying we remembered what happened. Yes. But we didn't remember everything. I looked at the letter in my hand. The ink seemed darker than before. Where are you? At the old house. My heart sank. Why? Because I found something. What? His voice lowered. Something underneath the basement. I closed my eyes. The basement, the place I thought I understood. Daniel, don't go down there. Silence. Then, I already did. I stood frozen. What did you find? His answer came quietly. Another door. The call went silent. Then I heard something in the background, a sound, 3 slow knocks. My blood turned cold. Daniel? No answer. Daniel, the phone crackled. Then his voice returned, but something was different. Not scared, not worried, almost relieved. Matt, a pause. You need to remember something. I gripped the phone. What? His voice became a whisper. The night we found the first door, another knock sounded through the phone. We weren't the first people to open it. I called Daniel back immediately. No answer. Again. Nothing. Again. Straight to silence. I stared at the phone screen, waiting for his name to appear, waiting for some simple explanation. A bad signal, a dead battery, anything normal, but normal had disappeared a long time ago. I grabbed my keys and left. The drive to the old house felt longer than I remembered. Every road looked familiar. Every turn brought back pieces of a life I thought I had already buried. The house hadn't changed much. That was the worst part. The peeling paint, the crooked porch steps, the dead grass in the front yard. It looked exactly like the place where everything fell apart. I parked and sat there for a moment. I didn't want to go inside, because some part of me knew. The moment I stepped through that door, I wasn't just visiting the past. The past was waiting for me. I walked inside. The air smelled the same. Old wood, dust, memories. Daniel? No answer. I moved through the rooms, the kitchen, the living room, the hallway. Everywhere I looked, I saw pieces of us. A height mark on the wall, a scratch on the floor from an old chair, a faded spot where a family photo used to hang. Then I reached the basement door. It was open. I stopped. I knew it wasn't supposed to be. Daniel always locked doors when he was searching. Always. I turned on the basement light. It flickered. Once, twice, then stayed on. The stairs creaked as I went down. At the bottom I saw him. Daniel stood in the center of the basement, facing the wall. Daniel. He didn't move. Relief hit me first, then fear, because he had been standing there too still. Daniel. Slowly, he turned around. His face looked exhausted, but he was alive. What happened? He looked at me. You came. Of course I came. He looked toward the wall. That's what I was afraid of. I frowned. What? He pointed. At first I saw nothing, just old concrete. Then my eyes adjusted. There were marks, thousands of them, names, dates, messages, all carved into the wall. But these weren't names of strangers. They were names I knew. People from our town. People who had disappeared. People whose cases were never solved. My eyes moved downward. Then I saw it. A name, one I never expected. Mercer family. Below it, first contact, 1987. I looked at Daniel. What is this? He looked away. I found old records. From who? He handed me a folder. Inside were newspaper clippings. Missing people, strange disappearances, reports of impossible doors, going back decades, before we were born, before our parents were born. This wasn't our first time. I looked up. What? Daniel pointed at the wall. We weren't the first generation. A chill moved through me. The doors? He nodded. They've been here longer than anyone knows. I opened another page. A photograph fell out. An old black and white picture, a family standing in front of a house. The same yard, the same basement. But the people in the photograph, I recognized one of them, the old man, only younger. Standing beside him was a little girl, Emily, and standing beside them was someone else, someone who made my blood run cold, a boy wearing a gray hoodie. Daniel stared at the photograph. Matt, I couldn't answer, because the boy in the picture looked exactly like me. Not older, not younger, the same age I was when we opened the door. On the back of the photograph was a handwriting note, a message from decades earlier. The first mistake was believing the door chooses the desperate. A second line was written underneath. The door doesn't choose people. My hands began shaking, because I already knew the final sentence before I read it. People choose the door. I read the sentence again. People choose the door. For a long time, I just stood there holding the photograph, because that single line changed everything. The doors weren't random. They weren't appearing because people were unlucky. They weren't hunting the desperate. They were being found over and over by people who needed something impossible, by people who were willing to trade anything for one more chance. I looked at Daniel. You knew? He shook his head. Not all of it. But you knew there was more. He looked down. I knew our story wasn't the beginning. The basement seemed smaller. The walls felt closer. What else did you find? Daniel walked toward an old wooden box sitting beneath the stairs. I found this. He opened it. Inside were dozens of notebooks. Different years, different handwriting, different people. Every person who had discovered a door had left something behind. A warning, a confession, a record of what happened. Daniel handed me the oldest notebook. The cover was cracked. The pages were yellow. The first entry was dated 1912. I read the first few lines. I believed the door was an answer. I believed I was chosen. I was wrong. I turned the page. The door does not grant wishes. It reveals the person you become when you want something badly enough. I looked at Daniel. The same thing the creature said. He nodded. I kept reading. The writer described seeing impossible rooms, people from their past, loved ones who had died, versions of themselves, but one entry caught my attention. A name. Thomas Vale. The old man, the same person who helped us. The same person who claimed he was trying to stop the doors. The entry was dated decades earlier. Thomas opened a door looking for his daughter. He found something else. I turned the page. The child he found was not the daughter he lost. My stomach tightened. I remembered the old man's daughter, Emily, the woman in the forest, the person he had spent his life searching for. But the notebook continued. Thomas refused to accept the truth. He believed love could make something real. I stopped, because suddenly I understood. The old man wasn't just a protector. He was another victim, just like us, maybe worse, because he had spent decades knowing the truth and still couldn't let go. Daniel sat on the basement floor. He came back here. When? After we closed the door. I looked up. What? He disappeared after we left the forest. A cold feeling moved through me. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't know. Daniel looked toward the wall. Not until I found this. He pointed to another carving. One name, freshly carved. Thomas Vale. Underneath it, returned without his daughter. A silence filled the basement. Then something moved upstairs. Both of us froze. A floorboard creaked. Slowly, someone was walking through the house. Daniel stood. We aren't alone. Who is it? No answer. Another step. Closer. The basement door slowly began closing. Neither of us touched it. The light above us flickered, and from the top of the stairs, a voice whispered, a voice we both recognized. Did you really think you were finished? Daniel went pale, because the voice belonged to Thomas Vale, but Thomas was gone, and whatever was standing at the top of those stairs was not him. The figure at the top of the stairs did not move. The basement light flickered above us. Once, twice, then it went dark. For a few seconds there was only silence. Then the voice came again. Matthew. I felt every muscle in my body tighten, because even though the voice sounded like Thomas Vale, something was wrong. Thomas never sounded like that. He sounded tired, broken, human. This voice sounded like something pretending to understand what a human voice should sound like. Daniel whispered, "Don't answer." I nodded. The darkness above us shifted. A shape appeared at the top of the stairs. Tall, still, watching. Then the flashlight beam returned. The stairs were empty, but something had been left behind. A notebook, sitting on the top step. Daniel and I stared at it. Neither of us wanted to move. Finally, I climbed the stairs. The notebook was old. older than the others. The cover had one word written across it. Thomas. I opened it. The first page was dated 3 days after we returned from the forest. If you are reading this, then I failed. I looked at Daniel. He moved closer. The next line made my stomach drop. The door was never the prison. I kept reading. I spent my entire life trying to stop people from opening doors. I believed the doors were the enemy. I was wrong. The basement became colder. The doors are not alive. They are not evil. They are not hunting us. A pause. Then they are scars. I stopped. Daniel looked at me. Scars? I continued. Every door exists because someone refused to accept something that happened. A death, a loss, a mistake, a moment they wish they could erase. The words felt heavier with every sentence. But scars do not heal by pretending they are not there. They heal when you stop reopening them. I turned the page. The handwriting became messier, like Thomas was writing while afraid. The first door was created by someone who wanted to undo the greatest regret of their life. Every door afterward was connected to that first choice. Daniel looked confused. Who opened the first one? I kept reading. Then I saw the name. My hands went numb. Matthew Mercer. I stared. No. Daniel looked at the page. No way. The notebook continued. Not the boy, not the man, the choice. I swallowed. The meaning slowly became clear. The first door wasn't created when I opened it as a child. It was created by every person who ever wished they could escape their pain. The door was not waiting for me. I was part of a pattern that had existed forever. But then I saw the final entry, the one written on the last page. There's only one way to end the doors. Someone must finally accept the thing everyone else refused. I turned the page. There was only one sentence. The past cannot be saved, only carried. The notebook fell from my hands because I finally understood. The doors were not asking people to save the past. They were asking if they were willing to live without changing it. And most people couldn't. A sound came from behind us, a slow knock, 3 times. Daniel and I turned. The basement wall had changed. The concrete was gone. In its place was a door, a new one, waiting. But this time, I didn't feel afraid, because I knew what it wanted. It wanted me to open it. It wanted me to believe there was still something missing, something I needed to fix. I stepped toward it. Daniel grabbed my arm. Matt. I looked at him. It's okay. The door knocked again. I placed my hand on the wood. I know what this is. The handle began turning, and I whispered, it's the last thing I need to let go of. The door opened, but nothing came through. No darkness, no screaming voices, no impossible hallway. Just a room, a normal room. That scared me more than anything else. After everything I had seen, I expected something terrifying. Instead, I saw my childhood bedroom. The same walls, the same bed, the same window where I used to watch storms roll in. Daniel stood behind me. Is this another trap? I looked around. No. I didn't know how I knew. I just did. The room wasn't trying to scare me. It wasn't trying to convince me. It was waiting. On the bed was a small wooden box. I recognized it immediately. My old hiding place. The box I kept under my mattress when I was a kid. Nobody knew about it. Not Daniel, not my parents, nobody. I opened it. Inside were old drawings, broken toys, and little pieces of my childhood I had forgotten. Underneath everything was a folded piece of paper. My handwriting. I opened it. Only one sentence was written. I don't want to be angry anymore. I stopped breathing for a moment, because I remembered writing it. I remembered being alone in this room. I remembered feeling like nobody understood. But the worst part was remembering what happened next. I hid the note. I never showed anyone. I waited for someone to notice. But nobody did. Not because they didn't care, because I never let them see how much I was hurting. Daniel looked at the paper. I wish you told me. I looked at my brother. I wish I did. The room became quiet. For years I blamed everyone for not saving me, but I never realized I was hiding from the people who wanted to help. The walls started fading. The bed, the window, the memories, everything slowly disappeared. Daniel looked around. Is it ending? I nodded. I think so. Before the room vanished completely, I saw the reflection in the window. The other me. The part that carried all the anger, all the regret, all the pain. He wasn't angry anymore. He just looked tired. I stepped closer. He smiled. I know. Then the reflection disappeared, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like something was missing. The room disappeared. Not suddenly, not violently. It faded like an old photograph left in the sunlight. The walls became transparent. The floor beneath us turned into mist. The last thing I saw was the small bedroom where everything began. Then it was gone. I opened my eyes. I was lying on the forest floor. Morning sunlight filtered through the trees. Real sunlight, not the strange artificial glow from the world behind the doors. Just morning, just the sound of birds, just the wind moving through the leaves. For a few seconds I didn't move. I was afraid. Afraid that if I moved, I would wake up somewhere else. Afraid the forest would change. Afraid the door would still be waiting. Then I heard someone beside me. "Are you planning on sleeping forever?" I turned. Daniel was sitting there, alive, smiling. I laughed, not because anything was funny, because after everything we had been through, hearing his voice felt impossible. "You always were annoying." He smiled. "And you're still terrible at saying thank you." I sat up. For a while, we didn't speak. We just sat there, two brothers who had spent years searching for something we thought was lost forever. But we finally understood. Sometimes what you lose isn't gone. Sometimes it is just buried under everything you refuse to face. My mother stood near the trees. She looked different. Not younger, not changed. Just lighter, like she had finally put down a weight she carried for years. The doors are gone. I looked around. The forest was empty. No strange paths. No impossible shadows. No wooden doors standing where they shouldn't. Just trees. Just earth. Just reality. Almost. As we walked back toward the house, I noticed something beneath the old tree. A small piece of wood. At first, fear rushed through me. I thought the door had returned. I thought this was another test. But when I picked it up, I saw words carved into the surface. 3 simple words. Remember whole you. I stared at them. Daniel looked over my shoulder. What does it mean? I thought about it. About the child behind the door. About the version of myself I abandoned. About the thing that carried my pain. It means we were never missing pieces. Daniel nodded slowly. We just forgot. I placed the wood back beneath the tree. Then we walked away, and this time, I didn't look back. For the first time in years, I went home without feeling like I had left something behind. Because I finally understood something the doors never wanted anyone to learn. The past doesn't mean to be changed. It needs to be accepted. And some doors are not meant to be opened. They are meant to show you that you were never trapped inside them. 3 months passed. Life returned slowly. Not all at once. Not like the movies where everything suddenly becomes perfect after the nightmare ends. Real life doesn't work that way. You still wake up tired. You still have problems. You still have moments where the past finds a way to knock on your door. But something was different. I wasn't running anymore. Daniel and I never told anyone the full story. How could we? An impossible door appeared in the woods and showed us alternate versions of ourselves. It was not exactly something people believed. But we didn't need anyone else to understand. For the first time, we understood each other. That was enough. My mother started painting again. She said she had spent too many years trying to repair everything that was broken. She wanted to create something instead. Daniel started writing. He said he needed somewhere to put the memories, not to relive them, to finally let them go. And me, I started visiting the forest, not searching, not looking for another door, just standing there. The place where I had spent years being afraid, the place where everything began. I wanted to prove something to myself, that a place could hold terrible memories and still become just a place again. One afternoon, almost a year after everything happened, I found myself back beneath the old tree, the same tree where Daniel found the journal, the same place where the first door appeared. The forest was quiet, peaceful, normal. I almost smiled. Then I noticed something, a small mark carved into the tree. I stepped closer. My heart slowed, because I knew that carving. It was the same symbol from the doors, a circle broken in the middle. But underneath it was something new, a message, not from the door, not from the creature, from someone else. The words were small, almost hidden. for those who come after. I touched the carving. The moment I did, I felt something. Not fear, not dread. A memory, but not mine. A different forest, a different time, a different person standing beneath the same tree. A young man, holding a journal, looking towards something hidden between the trees. Then the memory vanished. I stepped back, because I finally understood. The doors were gone, but the stories remained. The pain remained, the choices remained. Every generation had someone who thought they could fix the one thing they couldn't accept. Every generation had someone who believed they were different. And maybe that was the real danger. Not the doors, not the things behind them, the belief that we could rewrite what already happened. I turned to leave, then I heard it, a sound behind me. 3 slow knocks. I froze, the forest went silent. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to, because I knew what it meant. The door wasn't calling me anymore. It wasn't waiting for me. It was waiting for someone else. And somewhere, far away, I stood there beneath the tree, listening. 3 knocks. Slow, deliberate. The same sound that had followed me through every impossible place. But this time, I didn't feel the urge to search. I didn't feel the need to understand. Because I finally knew the truth. A door only has power when someone believes it can give them something they cannot live without. I looked back at the trees. Nothing moved. No shadows. No impossible shapes. No glowing cracks in reality. Just the forest. But I knew what I heard. The question was no longer whether the doors existed. The question was whether someone else would open one. I walked home. I didn't tell Daniel about the knocks, not right away, because I knew what he would do. He would search. He would investigate. He would try to protect whoever found the next door. That was who Daniel was. He spent his whole life trying to save people, even when they didn't ask, even when they weren't ready. But some things had to be faced by the person standing in front of them. That night, I sat outside and watched the sky. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for something to happen. I wasn't expecting the impossible. I was just there, living. Then my phone rang. Daniel. I answered. You heard it too. I didn't ask how he knew. Yes. A long silence followed. Where? I looked toward the forest. I don't know. Daniel sighed. Matt. I know. No, listen. His voice changed, serious, afraid. I found something. My stomach tightened. What? There was movement on his end, paper, pages turning. Remember the notebooks? The ones from the basement? Yes. I waited. There was one page missing. I frowned. What page? The last one. A cold feeling moved through me. What did it say? Daniel was quiet then. It said the first door was never the beginning. I closed my eyes. Daniel, I know. No, I stood up. What else? His voice lowered. It said there was a door before the doors. The air felt colder. A first door? Not exactly. Then what? A pause. Then Daniel said, it wasn't opened. I waited. It was built. The words sat between us. A year ago I would have searched for answers. I would have grabbed my teas. I would have driven back to the forest. I would have opened every book and chased every clue. But I wasn't that person anymore. What are you going to do? Daniel didn't answer. That worried me more than anything. Daniel, finally, I'm going to find out who built it. I looked toward the darkness outside. Why? His answer was barely a whisper. Because whoever built the first door, a pause, might still be on the other side. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was afraid. At least that's what I told myself. The truth was harder to admit. A part of me wanted to know. That was the thing about doors. Once you had seen one, once you had stepped through one, normal life never felt completely normal again. There was always a question waiting. What was behind the next one? Who opened it? Why? I hated that part of myself, because I knew where curiosity could lead. I had spent years learning that some answers cost more than they were worth. But Daniel was my brother, and if he was walking toward something dangerous, I couldn't just ignore it. The next morning I drove to his house. He was already awake. Books, papers, and photographs covered his table. You look terrible. He looked up. So do you. I almost smiled. Some things never changed. I picked up one of the documents. What did you find? Daniel pushed a folder toward me. Inside were old records, older than the ones from the basement, much older. The handwriting was different. The dates went back further than we expected. This is impossible. Daniel nodded. That's what I thought. The first page showed a drawing, not of a door, of something underneath one, a symbol, the same broken circle, but there was something else, a sentence written beneath it. The doorway was not created to enter another place. I read the next line. It was created to connect two moments. I looked at Daniel. 2 moments? He pointed to another page, a journal entry. People believe the door opens to the past. It does not. It opens to the moment before the choice. I felt cold, because that was exactly what happened. The doors didn't just show memories, they brought people back to the point where everything could have been different. The moment they wished they could change. Daniel continued. The person who built it wasn't trying to bring back the dead. Then what were they trying to do? He looked at me. They were trying to stop regret. The room became silent. That was the most dangerous idea of all. Not bringing someone back, not fixing one mistake, stopping regret itself. Because if nobody had regrets, would anyone ever learn? I turned another page. There was a name that made both of us stop. Elias Mercer. Our last name, my family name. Daniel looked at me. Matt. I shook my head, no. The first person connected to the door wasn't us. He nodded slowly, maybe not. I stared at the name. Someone from our family had known about this. Someone long before us. Someone who had started this. Then I noticed something. The date. The entry was written over 100 years ago. But beneath the name was another note, written much later, different handwriting, a recent addition. He failed. My hands tightened around the paper. Underneath that, the next one must finish it. Daniel and I looked at each other, because we both understood the same thing. The door had not been waiting for someone to open it. It had been waiting for someone to complete it. I stared at the words. The next one must finish it. For a long time, neither of us moved, because there was only one question in my mind. Who was the next one? Daniel looked through the papers again. There has to be more. He started flipping pages faster. Old journals, maps, drawings, notes written by people who had spent their entire lives trying to understand something that was never meant to be understood. Then he stopped. What? He didn't answer. I walked around the table. He was holding a photograph, an old photograph, the same kind that had started all of this. But this one was different. It showed a man standing in front of a strange wooden structure. Not a door, not exactly, a frame. Like someone had started building an entrance, but never finished it. The man standing beside it was young, maybe 20 years old. On the back was a name, Elias Mercer, my ancestor. Daniel looked at me. Your family built it. I shook my head. No. But even as I said it, I knew. The signs had always been there. The journal, the connection, the fact that the door appeared to us. It wasn't random. It was never random. I looked closer at the photograph. Elias wasn't alone. There was someone else standing beside him. A woman. Her face was scratched out. Not faded. Scratched. Someone had intentionally removed her. Who is she? Daniel turned the photograph over. Nothing. Then he noticed something. A folded piece of paper hidden behind the photo. He pulled it out. The handwriting was Elias's. If you are reading this, then I failed to destroy it. My heart sank. I believed I could create a place where people could confront their greatest regret. I believed understanding would bring peace. I kept reading. I was wrong. The next sentence was darker. The door does not heal regret. It feeds on the desire to erase it. Daniel looked at me. The creature. I nodded. The thing behind the doors. The thing that offered impossible choices. It wasn't the creator, it was the result. The consequence of thousands of people trying to rewrite reality. I continued reading. There must be someone who understands the door completely. Someone who accepts the past without trying to change it. Only then can the first door finally close. I looked up. We already did that. Daniel shook his head. No, he pointed to the last line. A sentence written underneath everything else. A sentence that made my blood run cold. The first door cannot close until the builder's regret is forgiven. The room went silent. Forgiven by who? Daniel looked at the photograph, at the woman whose face had been removed. I think we know. I felt the weight of the answer before he said it. The woman in the picture. I looked back at Elias, at the unfinished doorway, at the family secret hidden for generations. Who was she? Daniel slowly turned the page. There was one final note, one name, one truth. I felt cold, because I knew that name, not from the journals, not from the photograph, from somewhere else. A memory, a voice, a whisper behind a door, and then I remembered. The first time I heard the creature speak, it wasn't calling my name, it was calling hers. I couldn't move. The name sat on the page. Clara, a name I have never heard before, but somehow I knew it. Not like a memory, like a song you haven't heard in years but somehow still remember. Daniel noticed my expression. What? I looked at him. I've heard that name. His face changed. When? I tried to think. The answer came slowly. Behind the first door. Daniel went quiet. The room suddenly felt smaller, because that meant something impossible. The doors weren't just showing us what we lost. They were showing us things connected to the beginning, things we were never supposed to know. I grabbed the journal again. The pages were fragile. The ink faded, but the next entry was clear. Clara believed I was trying to save her. She was wrong. I stopped. Daniel leaned closer. What happened? I continued. I was not trying to save my daughter. I was trying to save myself from losing her. The words hit hard, because that was the same mistake everyone made. The old man, my mother, me. Everyone thought they were saving someone else, but deep down, they were trying to escape their own pain. The journal continued. Clara understood before I did. She saw what the door was becoming. She begged me to destroy it. My hands tightened. She knew. Daniel nodded. She was the first person who understood. I turned the page. Then I saw the final entry, the last words Elias ever wrote. The door does not need a victim. It needs a witness. A cold feeling moved through me. What does that mean? Daniel didn't answer, because something in the house changed. A sound came from the hallway. A quiet sound, a familiar sound. 3 knocks. Not from a wall, not from a basement, from the front door. We both froze. Neither of us spoke. The knocking came again. 3 slow knocks. Daniel whispered, "Someone's here." I looked toward the hallway. Every instinct told me not to move, but another feeling was stronger, recognition. I walked toward the door. Daniel followed. My hand reached for the handle, then stopped, because I remembered. The first rule, the thing every person before us forgot. A door only has power if you choose to open it. I looked at Daniel. What if it's someone who needs help? He looked back at me. What if it's someone who wants us to open it? The knocking stopped. Silence filled the house. Then a voice came from the other side. A woman's voice. Old, tired, familiar. Matthew. My blood went cold, because I knew that voice. It was the voice from the first door. The voice that started everything. Clara. She whispered, "You finally found me." Daniel stepped back. "That's impossible." The voice continued, "I've been waiting for you." I stared at the door, not afraid, not anymore, but knowing something had changed. Because this time, the person on the other side wasn't asking me to save them. She was asking me to understand why the door was created in the first place. I kept my hand away from the handle. That was the difference. A year ago, I would have opened it. Not because I was brave, because I was desperate. I would have believed that every voice behind every door was a chance to fix something, a chance to undo something. But I had learned, sometimes the kindest thing you can do is refuse the invitation. "Clara," I said. The house went silent. Daniel looked at me. "You believe that's her?" I didn't answer, because I wasn't sure. The voice behind the door spoke again. "You finally learned." A chill moved through me. Learned what? That wanting to help someone can become another form of selfishness. The words hit because they were true. The old version of me would have opened the door immediately. I would have needed to know. I would have needed to rescue. But now I understood the trap. The need to save someone could be just as dangerous as the need to save yourself. Daniel stepped closer. "What happened to you?" The voice became quieter. I stayed. A pause. I stayed where my father left me. I looked at the door. Inside the first door? No, the answer surprised me. Then where? A long silence. Between. The lights flickered. The same feeling returned. Not fear, something else. The feeling of standing near something that existed outside normal rules. Clara continued. "Your family built the door because Elias couldn't accept losing me." She sounded tired, but he was wrong about one thing. What? He thought the door was created to bring people back. The floor creaked beneath us. He didn't understand what he had actually built. Daniel looked at me. What did he build? The voice answered, "A place where regret could survive." The words hung in the air. I thought about the creature, the voices, the endless people searching for another chance. all of them feeding the same thing: regret. Clara continued. Every person who opened the door added something: memories, pain, loss, fear, until eventually her voice faded. It became something that could think. The creature, the thing that followed us, the thing that wore faces. It wasn't born evil. It was created, built from every desperate wish, every impossible bargain, every person who refused to let go. Daniel looked toward the door. Why are you telling us this? The answer came immediately. Because you are the first people who almost ended it. Almost. That word bothered me. Almost? Silence then. You closed the doors people opened. A pause. But you never closed the source. My stomach tightened. The first door. Yes, I looked at the front door. Where is it? Clara didn't answer. She didn't need to, because the house began changing. The walls stretched, the hallway lengthened, the air became colder, and beneath the floor we heard it. A sound from below. 3 knocks. Daniel whispered, "The basement." I looked down the hallway. The basement door was open. But this time, we didn't walk toward it. The basement came to us. The stairs extended into the hallway, leading downward, into darkness. Clara spoke one final sentence. The first door has been waiting for the person who finally understands why it should never have existed. The darkness below moved, and something whispered our names. We stood at the top of the stairs. The basement was no longer the basement we knew. It stretched downward farther than any house could possibly allow. The steps disappeared into darkness. The walls were covered with old markings, names, dates, messages. Every person who had ever searched for a way to undo something. Every person who believed they were the exception. Daniel looked at me. We don't have to do this. For once, he wasn't trying to be brave. He wasn't trying to fix everything. He was giving me a choice. I appreciated that more than he knew. I looked down the stairs. No. Daniel frowned. No, I shook my head. We don't have to. I took a breath, but we should. Because this was different. We weren't chasing a miracle. We weren't trying to bring anyone back. We weren't trying to escape something. We were facing it, together. We walked down. The farther we went, the colder it became. But there was something else, a strange feeling, like walking through memories that belonged to someone else. At the bottom was a room, small, simple, nothing like the impossible places behind the other doors. In the center stood a wooden frame, no wall, no house around it, just a doorway standing alone, the first door. It looked ancient, older than the forest, older than the house, older than the journals. Daniel whispered, "That's it." I nodded. On the wood were hundreds of carvings, names, people who had found it, people who had opened it, people who never came back. But one name was carved deeper than the others, Elias Mercer. Below it were words, the same handwriting. I was wrong. The door opened slightly, not because we touched it, because it wanted us to see. Inside was not another world, not another room, just a moment, the beginning. Elias stood there, young, alive, holding a piece of wood and carving the first marks into the door. Beside him stood Clara, a little girl. She looked happy before everything happened. Daniel and I watched silently. Elias spoke. "I can fix this." Clara shook her head. "You can't." "I can. You can't make people stop hurting." Elias looked at the unfinished door. "I can give them a chance." Clara looked sad. "No," she touched the wood. "You are giving them a reason not to heal." The memory faded. The door closed slightly. Daniel looked at me. She knew. I nodded. She understood before anyone else. The first door was never meant to save people. It was meant to reveal them. The room changed. A voice came from inside the doorway. Not Clara, not Elias, the creature. "You finally understand." The darkness behind the door moved, the same presence that had followed us from the beginning, but now it seemed smaller, weaker, because we weren't feeding it anymore. I looked at it. "You were never the enemy." The creature stopped. Daniel looked at me. "What?" I continued. "You were what people created when they refused to accept reality." For the first time, it looked almost human, almost sad. The creature whispered, "Then what happens to me?" I looked at the first door, then back at it, and I realized the final choice was not about destroying it. It was about ending the reason it existed. The creature stood on the other side of the first door. For the first time, I wasn't afraid of it. I didn't see a monster. I didn't see an enemy. I saw everything people refuse to carry. Every loss, every regret, every impossible wish. Every moment someone whispered, "If I could just go back." The creature looked at me. "You hate me." I shook my head. "No." It seemed surprised. "Why?" "Because you were never born." The darkness around it shifted. "You were created." The room became silent. Every person who opened a door gave you something. The creature lowered its head. Pain, regret, hope, a pause, desperation. The creature looked toward the floor. I was never supposed to exist. No. I looked at the first door. You were never supposed to carry all of that. For a moment, nobody moved. Then the door changed. The old wood cracked, not breaking, releasing. A figure appeared behind the creature. Clara, not the voice, not a memory, the person herself. She looked exactly like the girl from Elias's final moments. Young, calm, sad. The creature turned. "You." Clara looked at it. "You were never my prison." The creature stepped back. "Then what was I?" She looked at me, then at Daniel, then back at the thing created from centuries of pain. "You were proof." "Of what?" "That people can survive terrible things." The creature became still. Clara walked closer. "My father wanted to erase suffering." She touched the door. "But suffering is part of being alive." The wood began fading. He didn't understand that. A crack of light appeared through the doorway. The creature looked afraid. "Where do I go?" Clara smiled sadly. "Where all pain goes when someone finally accepts it." The creature slowly disappeared. Not destroyed, not defeated, released. The darkness left the room, the whispers stopped. The names carved into the walls faded, one by one, until only one remained. Elias Mercer. The first person who tried to change the past. The first person who couldn't let go. The carving faded last. Then the first door closed. Not with a slam, not with violence, just a quiet click, like it had finally finished waiting. Daniel looked at me. "Is it over?" I listened. No whispers, no knocking, no voices calling from impossible places. For the first time, there was nothing. Yes, I looked at the empty doorway. We walked back upstairs, but the house was different. Not because it had changed, because we had. The hallway that once felt like a warning, now felt like an ordinary hallway. The basement door closed behind us. A normal wooden door, nothing more. No darkness underneath, no impossible rooms, no secrets waiting to be uncovered, just a door. Daniel stopped near the front entrance. "You realize nobody is ever going to believe this." I smiled slightly. "Would you believe us?" He thought about it. "No." We laughed, a real laugh, the kind that comes after surviving something that should have broken you. Outside, the morning sun was rising. The world looked exactly the same. Cars passing, birds singing, people living their normal lives. Nobody knew how close everything had come to being consumed by something created from human regret. Maybe that was a good thing. Some battles don't need an audience. Some victories are quiet. A few weeks later, Daniel and I returned to the forest one last time. Not because we were looking for anything, because we wanted to say goodbye. The place where the first door appeared was empty. No strange markings, no impossible paths, no signs that anything had ever happened. Just trees, just earth, just nature. Daniel looked around. "Strange." "What?" Part of me expected something. I nodded. "Me too." We stood there for a while, then we turned to leave. As I walked away, I noticed something near the roots of the old tree, a small notebook. My first thought was fear, that old instinct, the one that wanted to know, the one that wanted answers. But I didn't pick it up immediately. I waited. I made a choice. Then I reached down. The notebook was empty. Almost. The first page had one sentence written inside. Not Elias's handwriting, not Clara's, mine. I stared at the words, because I knew I had never written them. The hardest door to close is the one inside yourself. I looked at Daniel. "Did you do this?" He shook his head. "No." The forest became quiet, but this time the silence didn't feel threatening. It felt peaceful. I closed the notebook, then I left it beneath the tree. Some things don't need to be solved. Some mysteries are better left where they belong. Years later, people would ask me if I believed everything that happened was real. I never knew how to answer, because the truth was complicated. I knew what I saw, I knew what I felt, I knew the doors existed. But I also knew something more important. The greatest monsters are not always waiting in the dark. Sometimes they are the things we carry into the light. Regret, fear, guilt, the endless desire to change something that already happened. Those things can trap a person longer than any locked room, longer than any prison, longer than any door. And if I learned anything from that place, it was this: the past is a place you can visit. I thought that was the end. For years I believed it was. The doors were gone. The creature was gone. The impossible places between moments were gone. Life moved forward, and for the first time I allowed myself to move forward with it. I got older. Daniel got older. My mother got older. We watched ordinary years pass, and ordinary became something I never took for granted again. A normal day, a boring conversation, a quiet morning. Those things became more valuable than any miracle, because miracles always seem to come with a price. But there was one thing I never forgot: the first rule. A door only opens when someone chooses to open it, and choices always leave something behind. 20 years after the forest, I received a package. No name, no address. It was left outside my house. For a long time I stared at it. I knew, before opening it, some part of me knew exactly what it was. A part of me wanted to throw it away, burn it, pretend I never saw it. That would have been the old me, the person who ran, the person who hid. But I wasn't that person anymore. I opened it. Inside was a small wooden box. My hands froze because I recognized it. It was the same type of box Elias had used, the same type of box Daniel found in the basement. Inside was a single page, a letter. The handwriting was unfamiliar. My name is Sarah Vale. I stopped. Vale. Thomas Vale's family. I found your story while searching through my grandfather's records. I know what happened. I know about the doors. I kept reading. I also know something you don't. My heart slowed. The next sentence was underlined. The first door was closed. Then, but the idea behind it was not destroyed. I put the letter down, because I knew what that meant. The door itself was never the real danger. The wood, the frame, the doorway, those were just symbols. The real danger was the human desire behind it, the belief that pain could be removed instead of accepted. The letter continued. People are still searching for ways to escape regret. They just stopped using doors. I sat quietly, because she was right. Every day people search for ways to rewrite themselves, to erase mistakes, to become someone else. The door was never the only way. The final line of the letter was simple. I need to know if the first door was truly the last. I looked toward the window. Outside, the world was normal, peaceful, safe. But somewhere, someone was asking the same question Elias asked, the same question every person before him asked. What if I could change one thing? And that was when I realized something terrifying. The doors were never the beginning. They were only the first warning. I didn't answer the letter, not immediately, because I knew what answering meant. It meant opening a door, not a wooden one, not a supernatural one, a different kind. The kind where curiosity becomes responsibility. The kind where you convince yourself you are helping while secretly wanting to know if the impossible is still possible. I'd spent my entire life learning that lesson. I put the letter away. For 3 days, I ignored it. I went to work, I cooked dinner, I watched television. I did everything normal people do when they are trying not to think about something impossible sitting in their house. But the problem with the past is, it knows where you live. On the 4th night, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, then I saw the area code. It was from the same town where the old house stood. I answered. Hello? Nobody spoke, only breathing. Then a woman's voice. Matthew? I closed my eyes. Sarah? You know who I am. I read your letter. Her voice changed. You shouldn't have. The words made me sit up. Why? Because now you know. Silence. The doors weren't created because people wanted to change the past. I waited. They were created because someone wanted to see the future. A cold feeling moved through me. That's not what Elias's journal said. No, her voice became quieter, because Elias was wrong about what he built. I stood. Where are you? I found something. Of course she did. Everyone who came near the doors found something. That was the pattern. What? A room. I didn't answer. A room underneath the old property. My stomach tightened. There was no room. I know. A pause. That's why I'm calling you. I looked toward the window. The night outside was completely still. What did you find? Sarah took a breath. Another journal. Whose? Her answer came slowly. Mine. I froze. What? I haven't written it yet. The line went silent. I felt the same coldness I felt standing in front of the first door, the feeling of something impossible approaching. Sarah continued. The journal describes everything that happens after I find the room. My voice was barely above a whisper. How? I don't know. A pause. But the last page has your name on it. I gripped the phone. What does it say? Sarah didn't answer right away. When she finally spoke, her voice sounded afraid. It says you were never meant to close the first door. A pause. It says you were meant to build the second. I didn't speak. For several seconds I couldn't. Because that was the one thing I thought I understood. The doors were finished. The cycle was broken. The past was accepted. But Sarah's words opened a new fear. Not that the door was still there, something worse. That maybe we had misunderstood what we closed. Matthew, I finally answered. Where are you? I told you, I found the room. Where? A pause. The old property. I closed my eyes, of course. Everything always returned to that place. The house, the forest, the first door. I need you to leave. Sarah was quiet. Why? Because every person who thinks they can understand it ends up becoming part of it. I know, her answer surprised me. I read your story. I frowned. What? The records, a pause. Your brother kept them. My heart tightened. He didn't tell you? I looked around the room. No. The silence that followed told me everything. Not everything, but enough. I called him immediately after hanging up. He answered quickly. She contacted you. Not hello, not how are you, just that. I felt anger rise. You knew about Sarah? I knew she was looking. And you didn't tell me? A long silence. I was trying to protect you. I laughed quietly. That never works. No. His voice softened. But this time I was trying to protect myself too. That stopped me. What does that mean? Daniel took a breath. When the doors closed, I thought we won. Didn't we? I started having dreams. What kind of dreams? The forest. I felt cold. The house. Another pause, and a door. I sat down. Daniel. His voice became lower, but this door was different. How? It wasn't asking me to change anything. I waited. It was asking me to remember something. The room felt colder. What? Daniel whispered. The night we first opened the door. A pause. There was someone else there. My heart stopped. What are you talking about? I saw them. Who? His answer came slowly. Me. I didn't understand. What? The person who opened the door wasn't just you. Silence. It was both of us. I felt the memory shift, the night everything happened. The fear, the darkness, the moment I thought I remembered. But maybe I didn't remember everything. Daniel continued, and I think the reason the second door exists, a pause, is because one of us never came back. I sat there holding the phone, unable to speak, because I knew what Daniel meant. Not logically, not completely, but somewhere deep inside, I knew. There had always been something missing from that night, a gap, a moment my mind refused to touch. I remembered opening the door. I remembered the darkness. I remembered Daniel grabbing my hand. I remembered coming back, but I didn't remember what happened between those moments. And now I understood why. Some memories don't disappear because they are forgotten. Some disappear because they are too painful to tarry. Daniel, I'm here. What did you see in the dream? He was quiet, and us. Where? The first night. I closed my eyes. Tell me. His voice became distant. After the door opened, we weren't pulled into another place. A pause. We were split. The word hit me. Split. One version of us went through, and the other stayed behind. The room felt colder. Daniel, that's impossible. Is it? I had no answer, because impossible had become a weak word. Daniel continued, I think the doors don't just show people what they regret. A pause. They show people what they leave behind. I looked toward the wooden box sitting on my desk, the one Sarah had sent. What did Sarah find? A journal. Whose? Daniel hesitated, then answered, Ours. My stomach tightened. That doesn't make sense. I know. How could there be a journal we haven't written? I don't know. A long silence. Then Daniel said, but there was something else. What? On the last page. I waited. It wasn't written by Sarah. Who wrote it? Daniel's voice dropped. Us. What did it say? Another pause, then the first door closed because one of us returned. My breathing slowed, and Daniel answered, the second door opens because the other one wants to come home. The call went silent, because suddenly everything made sense. The creature, the missing pieces, the feeling that something was still unfinished. The door didn't create copies. It separated parts of people, the parts they couldn't accept, the parts they abandoned, the angry child, the painful memories, the pieces they thought they had lost forever. I looked toward the darkness outside my window. Daniel, yeah, I think I know what the second door is. What? I whispered, it's not a door for going somewhere. A pause. It's a door for something that wants to come back. And somewhere far away, deep beneath the old house, something knocked. Not 3 times, only once, like someone on the other side had finally found the courage to ask for help. I drove to the old house before sunrise. Daniel tried to stop me. He called 5 times. I didn't answer. Not because I was angry, because I knew what he would say. He would tell me to wait, to think, to be careful, and he would be right. But there was one thing I had learned about doors. Waiting doesn't make them disappear. Sometimes waiting just gives them more time. The house looked exactly the same when I arrived. That was the unsettling part. After everything we had experienced, I expected something impossible. A ruined building, a strange shadow, something that proved the nightmare was real. Instead, it was just a house. Quiet, empty, almost peaceful. I walked inside. The air felt heavier. Not colder, heavier. Like the house remembered every person who had entered. The basement door was open. I stopped, because I knew I had closed it. I knew nobody had been here, at least nobody who should have been. I walked downstairs. The basement looked normal. Concrete walls, old shelves, dust. Nothing unusual. Then I saw it, a mark on the floor. A circle, broken in the middle, the same symbol from the doors. Except this time, it wasn't carved. It was drawn. Fresh. I heard footsteps behind me. I turned. Daniel stood at the bottom of the stairs. You really thought you could do this alone? I almost smiled. No. He walked closer. You just didn't want me involved. I looked away. Yeah. He nodded. Fair. For a moment we just stood there. 2 brothers who had spent years trying to save each other. And maybe that had always been the problem. Maybe we were so focused on saving the other person, we never asked if they wanted to be saved. A sound came from the wall. A slow crack. The concrete shifted. Daniel stepped back. That's new. The wall split down the middle. Not breaking. Opening. Behind it was a hallway. Not dark. Not threatening. Just waiting. At the end of the hallway was a door, but it wasn't like the others. No scratches. No symbols. No signs of suffering. It looked ordinary. Almost welcoming. Daniel whispered, "That's the second door." I nodded. Then we heard a voice from behind it. My voice. Older. Tired. Matthew. My entire body froze, because I knew that voice. Not an imitation, not a copy. Me. The part that never came back. The part we left behind. The voice spoke again. You finally remembered. Daniel looked at me. What do we do? I stared at the door, and for the first time, I didn't feel afraid of what was behind it. I felt afraid of what I had to admit. The voice whispered, "I don't want revenge." A pause. I reached toward the door, then stopped, because I finally understood why this felt different. The other doors wanted something. They offered. They tempted. They showed you exactly what you wanted to see. This door wasn't offering anything. It was asking for something. Acceptance. Daniel stood beside me. "Matt." I looked at him. "What if it's really you?" He didn't answer immediately, because that was the question. The one we had avoided from the beginning. Not whether the doors were real, not whether the creature existed. Whether there was a part of us that had been left behind, a part that deserved to come home. I placed my hand on the door. It was warm, not cold like the others. Warm, like someone had been holding on to the other side. The door opened, slowly. Inside was the forest, the same forest where everything began. But this time there was no darkness, no monsters, no impossible shapes, just a clearing, and someone standing there. Me, older, not by years, by weight. He looked exhausted, like someone who had been carrying a burden nobody else knew existed. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he smiled. "I was wondering when you'd remember." My throat tightened. "How long have you been here?" He looked around. I stopped counting. Daniel stepped forward. "What happened that night?" The other me looked at him. "You really don't remember?" Daniel went silent. The other me looked back at me. "Neither of you do." I felt my chest tighten. "Tell us." He nodded. "When the first door opened, it didn't take us somewhere." A pause. "It separated us." He pointed at me. "You went back, then at himself." I stayed. Daniel shook his head. "Why?" "Because someone had to carry what happened." The words hit me. The anger, the fear, the guilt. All the things I thought I had overcome. They hadn't disappeared. Someone had been holding them. All this time. Me. The other version of me looked down. "I became everything you didn't want to be." I whispered. "The anger." He nodded. "The regret." Another nod. "The fear." Silence. Then he smiled sadly. "But I wasn't a monster." I felt tears forming. "I know." He looked surprised. "You do?" I nodded. "Because I was you." The forest became quiet. For the first time, the two versions of me stood together. Not enemies, not replacements, not copies, just two pieces of the same person. Daniel wiped his eyes. "So what happens now?" The other me looked at the open door. "Now we make the choice we should have made years ago." "What choice?" He looked at me. "Stop fighting ourselves." The door behind him began fading, and I realized the final door wasn't asking who deserved to leave. It was asking if we were finally willing to return as one. The clearing began to disappear. Not like something was destroying it, like it had finished its purpose. The trees became transparent. The ground beneath our feet faded into light. The other version of me looked calm. For the first time, he didn't look like someone trapped. He looked like someone who was finally tired of being alone. "Are you ready?" I nodded. But before I stepped forward, I asked the question I had carried for years. "Did you hate me?" He looked at me. A long silence passed. Then he shook his head. "No." I looked down. "Why not?" He smiled sadly. "Because you were just trying to survive." The words hit harder than any accusation could have. Because somewhere deep inside, I had always believed I deserved punishment, that the pain was proof I was responsible, that the worst moment of my life defined me. But maybe surviving something terrible didn't make you weak. Maybe it just meant you survived. Daniel stepped closer. "So what happens when you come back?" The other me looked at him. "I don't know." A pause. "But I think that's the point." The door behind him opened wider. Not into darkness, not into another world, into home. I stepped forward. The moment I crossed the doorway, every memory returned. Not just the painful ones, everything. The good moments, the bad moments, the mistakes, the laughter, the people I lost, the people who stayed. For years I thought healing meant forgetting. It didn't. Healing meant remembering, and not being destroyed by it. The other me walked beside me, and slowly we became one. No explosion, no impossible transformation, just a quiet feeling, like something missing had finally returned. The forest vanished, the door disappeared, and I was standing beside Daniel in the basement of the old house. The wall was normal again. No hallway, no symbol, no doorway, just concrete. Daniel looked at me. "Are you okay?" I took a breath. For the first time in years, the answer was simple. "Yeah," and I meant it. We left the house together. This time we didn't look back. Months later, I threw away the last piece of evidence. The journals, the photographs, the records. Not because they weren't important, because they had already done what they were meant to do. They showed me the truth, but they didn't own me anymore. The past could exist without controlling my future. One night, years later, I walked past a house in my neighborhood. A normal house, a normal street, a normal night. Then I saw something that made me stop. A child standing outside a bedroom window, looking down at the yard, looking afraid. For a moment I felt that old instinct, the need to run toward the problem, the need to fix everything. But I remembered, not every pain needs to be erased. Sometimes people just need someone to tell them they are not alone. I kept walking, because the greatest lesson the doors ever taught me was this: the things we run from are often the things asking us to finally listen. And sometimes, the door we spend our entire lives trying to escape is the one that leads us back to ourselves.